WNIBF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Ah, yes, the weekend is in view. We welcome you on into the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, Rochester's only local sports talk show. We appreciate you stopping by and listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app, or maybe you're watching the sports bar wherever you YouTube, our YouTube channel, The Fan Rochester, where we stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6. Let's get there, Gino.
Let's do it. You know, like the next two Fridays. Next Friday is going to be a lot of fun. Game 2.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Game 2 of the North Division Final. We're going to be live at the arena from 3 until 7.
7, the extra hour,
Yeah.
because we're just going to be right there. And if you're familiar with the arena, you go up, you know, either the atrium, right? And you go up either the stairs or the escalator, and you get to that main level, and you can either take a left and walk, or take a right, as if you're going to go, and there's elevators on that side.
Yeah.
We're right there. So another way I could describe it is, everybody knows where the ticket office is. We'll just look straight up.
We're right above.
Right above the ticket office.
The ticket office,
Yeah.
right above the team store, you know, opposite where the beer garden is there on the second level when you go up the stairs. So, yeah, when you take that hard right, you'll see us tucked away in the corner there above the team store and the ticket office. And, man, that's going to be an atmosphere. I cannot wait for Friday night, a week from tonight, when the Amherst have Game 2 hosting Laval there from Blue Cross Arena.
You know, I'm fired up, too, because we're going to be hanging out, Section 126.
Yeah!
Like, you and I'm not going to be journalist Gene there sitting up and like, let me make sure I'm writing about this game. No, I want to go and yell my head off.
Not going to lie, I embarrassed my children last year in the playoffs. I said some unfortunate things. I screamed some unfortunate things at Syracuse, and I think I scared my oldest daughter away. She does not want anything to do with me at an Amherst game.
Do you remember how it ended? I remember how the game ended.
Oh, we left with Syracuse fans all around us and their stupid vuvuzelas.
The vuvuzelas, the dumb cowbell thingy. And I'm talking about me and you. We didn't want to watch when it became evident after another empty net goal. Okay, we bolted out of there.
Yeah.
And the three of us, the executive producer, my son Colin, we're pissed. Like, let's get out of here. I don't want to watch Syracuse, on home ice. I didn't say goodbye to Sandy. Okay. I was like,
wait, you mean to tell me you big-timed my wife? That never happens.
It didn't. We just kind of laughed and, it was just like an Irish goodbye at that point.
We were all pissed.
Yeah.
Everybody was mad. Well, except for my wife, who has no rooting interest and was just there just to be supportive. Really, wanted to be there to support, but not really interested in the outcome of the game the way we are, because she's actually the sane half of our relationship. So, yeah, I remember shouting a few things that made my daughter kind of slouch in her chair a little bit and, hide underneath the collar of her coat like, Dad, you're embarrassing me.
It was
sorry.
It was kind of just like, I find your officiating to be quite questionable.
I was trying to be the polite hacker, the polite heckler. I was not trying to.
There was laughter. People around us appreciated that.
I find your officiating offensive. That was some poorly officiated hockey there in that game that I remember from last year. So we're looking forward to Game 2. That's a week from tonight. We're going to talk more Calder Cup playoffs with Patrick Williams, who covers the AHL at AHL.com and NHL.com, and just get a sense not just about what the Amherst are bringing to the table here, but also Laval and who's left out east and who's left out west as well.
It's funny, we're in deep with the Amherst, right? I couldn't tell you about anything going on with Charlotte and Providence and Hershey or anybody else, and I think we're not anywhere near that point. But if we're just looking big picture in this league, who are the favorites to win all this? where would the Amerks rank? I mean, that's a fair question. Like, who would you put as the top 3 Cup contenders right now? And I don't want them to curry in favor to us. I mean, if Rochester's not the answer, then tell us. But
there's definitely been some consistency, though, through the last 5 or so years. I mean, Laval has been one of those teams. Rochester has been a team. Hershey clearly has been one of those teams. Charlotte is always a thorn, right? So we'll get Patrick's take on the Eastern Conference here in the AHL. Where do the Amerks fit in all of this, and give us a little preview of the series? Yeah, and
it's a discovery last night. I want to give one of our regulars, Frank, just kind of pointing this out. So the Montreal Gazette, they cover the Laval Rocket, right, too. So they did a story, and the headline is Gazette or the Rocket to take on Devin Levi and the Rochester Americans. So, okay, that's a storyline. Devin Levi going back home, that's fine. There's one line in the article where, like, what, really? So we've been talking a lot about this format, like the 2-3 format, the idea that normally these are 2-2-1, right? And you're just save on travel costs or whatever it is you're gonna do in this fashion. Laval and Rochester had the option to switch it, according to the Montreal Gazette, to a 2-2-1 format.
What?
The Rocket wanted 2-2-1. The Amerks said no.
Wow. So I've got a few questions. If it's AHL policy, and there's a radius clause where if it's outside of this, 100-mile radius?
100-mile radius.
Then it will be a 2-3 format. Why even offer that up to these two teams?
That's question number one. Like, it's like, really? You're going to let teams decide what kind of format?
Yeah,
that's weird.
That doesn't really sound like policy. It doesn't really sound like league policy if you're leaving it up to the teams to decide what format they want. And why ultimately did Rochester get their way? If that report from the Montreal Gazette is true, what led to Rochester, the lower seed, by the way, getting their way?
Yeah, and I appreciate all the debate, online today. I'm like, I got to get back to work here and get ready for the show. But like, it's the bottom line is this: you accept this 2-3 format if you're Rochester because you believe in your team. You believe you're going to put Laval in a vice.
You believe that you're only going to get one game in Laval because you're going to sweep these guys?
I think that's it. You're confident. I would even take it a step further.
You can get the 2 games at home. You're going to get the revenue from those 2 games at home. So that works out in the Amerks' favor. And I could see from a business standpoint why they would do that. But I don't know why they would give Rochester the final say, being that Laval was actually the 1 seed.
You would think Laval would call the shot on that.
That's right.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of winning the division? Yes, you get the home ice. And if you do the math, I mean, travel costs, what really are you saving? And if it gets to a game 5, that's when you would have the extra bus rides, okay, in a 2-2-1 format. Otherwise, it kind of comes out the same.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I just wonder if it is AHL policy, then why is it even up for debate as they're reporting? Why was it even put out there as a question?
Why can't you start this series on time? Because the thing I'm afraid of Wednesday, how sharp are these teams going to be?
Rust.
You can be, you can ramp yourself up and everything else, but holy cow, 13 days off. Laval, 8 days?
I was going to say, I would have been more concerned about it if Laval went 5 games with Cleveland, because that would have shortened their gap. 8 is a pretty significant gap. It's not as much as 13, but it's still, both teams are going to be a little less, I would think a little less than sharp, being that they haven't played a game. Each of them haven't played a game in over a week, which is out of routine. That's, after you've played an entire regular season, that feels like a mini all-star break.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that'll be great. I can't wait to talk to Patrick, who's making his inaugural visit here into the sports bar in about 15, 20 minutes or so. And then joining us later on with a report from rookie minicamp in Orchard Park, Sal Capaccio, WGR.
Sal Capaccio, who is also the host, along with Matt Beauvais, the Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast, which you can hear inside the Odyssey app. They got Sean McDermott on as a guest, which that's something. McDermott normally doesn't do these things, Danger, but it is the month of May. It is a slower pace, and I think Sean McDermott showed a different side of himself. McDermott talking about different things and, what he likes about Buffalo and what he thinks about the schedule, too. That will be coming out and how he likes routine. And Sal's got thoughts on that. And I want to credit Sal for pointing this out, too, by way of Patrick Hammer. We have something I think we can connect the dots on. Not only on the NFL schedule, but week 1 for the Buffalo Bills.
Patrick Hammer, the weather guy?
Correct.
What?
I know. All right. And look, I didn't see it. You would think that maybe our local affiliate would have pointed this out or let everybody know. So next week is the week where they let that networks tease a game, right? You're going to have Fox say this is going to be our game opening 4:25. Unless
sure.
It was, you will have ESPN saying, hey, Monday Night Football week 1 is going to be this. Well, NBC gets 2 games that opening week. They get the opening night Thursday game.
Yeah.
And then they're also going to get Sunday Night Football.
Of course.
So NBC, the Today Show, first thing, 7 a.m., Monday morning, they're going to leak whatever game they're going to leak.
Well, they would probably be the kickoff game, right?
You would think.
Because
so
we get these little morsels leading up to Wednesday's full schedule release by all the networks. And
here's the kicker. Scheduled to be a guest Monday on the Today Show is Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen.
Oh, okay. So are they just leaking their one game, or will they be leaking both games?
I would think maybe it's both, but why would Josh Allen be there? The opening game in Philadelphia, Philadelphia is coming here.
That's
so
right.
That's not.
It won't happen.
No, it won't happen.
But the Sunday night game.
The Sunday night game. Okay. If NBC is saying, you know what, we need to start big, Buffalo will draw us a number. Let's speculate here, because I don't think you're bringing in the Miami Dolphins or the New York Jets on Sunday Night Football week 1. Cincinnati feels like, boy, that would be a fun back-and-forth game. A rematch against Baltimore, 2 top quarterbacks in this league, 1-2 for the MVP. What? You know how the NFL gets all kitschy? Hey, if you wanted Lamar, he's going against the MVP. Here are the 2 guys.
Remind me, I think I'm sure of this, but Kansas City comes to Buffalo this year.
Kansas City comes to Buffalo.
That would be a candidate as well, I would say.
That feels like you're holding that back, though.
You think that's a CBS 4 o'clock in the afternoon game later in the season? I don't know, man. Mahomes and Allen, that's a pretty big number.
That's a huge number.
It's a rematch of the AFC Championship game. As much as I like the Lamar story and the MVP narrative there, a rematch of the AFC title game to start week 1 in Buffalo, give it to me. Absolutely. Do you remember how good that Kansas City-Baltimore game was week 1 last year? I mean, it was physical. It was punishing. It set a tone. It did not feel like a week 1 game.
No.
It was awesome. Give me that. Give me Chiefs-Bills Sunday night week 1. Yes.
Let me give you the other opponents here. It can't be Philadelphia. Philadelphia's coming to Buffalo, but they can't play twice in one week. Cross them off. They're going to be on Thursday. The divisional opponents. Do you entertain New England and Steph? Diggs isn't
for week 1 Sunday night football.
No,
not big enough.
Particularly, will Diggs be healthy?
Not big enough. Not a big. And that's a year removed. That's old news now.
Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay.
Nah. That's a Monday night game.
No, it feels like Clash of the Titans in the AFC.
Yeah. It wouldn't be Tampa. Tampa in Buffalo feels like it would be a Monday night game, or a Thursday night game, but not week 1 Sunday night football. I think it's either Baltimore or Kansas City. My vote would be Kansas City.
What will that crowd be like?
It's the last season at the stadium. I mean, everything is lining up for it to be a Sunday night game.
Oh, boy, you take off Monday, because if you're tailgating and you're getting out there at 9 or 10 in the morning and you're going to watch the 1 o'clock games, you're going to watch the 4 o'clock games, I mean, how many deep are you in by the time you go through the turnstile there?
What an unbelievable day. What an unbelievable day. Yeah, that would be my pick. I wouldn't be upset at Baltimore. If it was Baltimore, I wouldn't be upset, but I think they go big. I think they go Kansas City. Give me the rematch of the AFC title game that the Bills almost – and let's watch the Bills get over on the Chiefs week 1 in a physical, punch them in the mouth, exert your dominance.
The more you talk about this, okay, so the Chiefs are not going to go to Philadelphia, okay? So they can't be the opening Thursday night game. Where do you plop Kansas City? It's either Sunday Night Football or 425 on Sunday. You're not putting them on Monday Night Football.
Right.
You want Kansas City in prime time week 1.
I think so. Yeah.
Holy cow, we just figured this out.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we want. I mean, if you're a Bills fan and you disagree, let us know at 866-4326. We always say it's not who you play, but when you play them. Yeah, give me Kansas City early. I don't want any excuses. I want a fully healthy roster. I want both teams clashing. I want it in Buffalo. I want it in primetime. I want it week 1. And let's see how it all shakes out. I want Binkley on the air with us that week. Fellows, let me tell you, we got Hollywood Brown and Russ Shebra. I don't care.
We got Patrick.
I don't care. I want all of that. Bring that here week 1, and let's set a tone, boys.
Get the tiebreaker right out of the gate.
Absolutely.
Holy cow.
You want the 1 seed? It starts week 1. You beat Kansas City at home. You leave no trace. You leave no doubt. You murder those guys. You show that the Super Bowl wasn't a fluke. They're soft. They're soft. You push them around week 1 in prime time with a crowd that's foaming at the mouth. Yes.
Holy cow, Danger. You completely sold me on this idea.
Good. I'm glad. We'll ask Sal. We'll see what Sal has to say. Sal may, he's got that relationship with Mike North.
Do you think Sal gets slid the schedule in advance?
If he did, he would never tell us.
No, he would never, ever tell us. No.
Ever compromise his relationships.
No,
But we all, it's a safe bet to say, and Sal or anybody could say, the Bills are going to get a lot of primetime games. Yeah, we know. The Bills are going to get a holiday. Yeah, we know. They're going to play on the holidays. We get it. You've got the MVP. This isn't a team that is going to see a ton of 1 o'clock kickoffs moving forward. As long as Josh Allen is your quarterback, as long as you keep winning, yeah, I want the best. I want Kansas City week 1. Give me the rematch of the AFC Championship game. Man, that would be awesome. And we'll find out on Wednesday night. Well, even before then, we might find out Monday night. Monday morning.
Are you kidding? It's going to be drip, drip, drip the whole week. Yeah. And the fun part of this, Danger, is that some teams do slide their schedules out. The Bills don't. And the Bills are on lockdown, but the Jets traditionally do. So do the Dolphins. By the time we get to that unveil at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night, it's usually half the schedule by that point. And I'm not talking about the weird, X accounts that are, schedule leaks. No. These are legit people that are reporting on
Yeah,
this.
when we see legit reporters covering the NFL, the beat guys won't do it. Like the guys that the NFL, insiders will traditionally steer clear of it because they don't want to burn any bridges, right? But the guys that cover the teams, the beat guys, the guys that we like to talk to, guys like Ryan Talbot, gritty, getting his hands dirty, doing some legwork, figuring out and putting it all together. Yeah, they put their name on it. I like that. Okay, so Josh Allen on the Today Show Monday morning. And Monday morning, we might get our first Bills schedule morsel. Could be that primetime game, Sunday night, week 1. Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs.
Should I book Binkley for Monday? No, we'll just fellas.
No, we got to wait. We got to wait a little bit on that one. Let the offseason play out. Let the preseason play out. And then let's have that guy on week 1 and tell him how soft we think his team is based on what we saw.
I am going this July to meet Jay Binkley in person. So you went to New York for your guys. I'm meeting people that I've talked to only on the phone. And no, I'm not changing my stripes. In fact, I am going in as full-blown Met fan. But then Binkley got us tickets to the Diamond Club, whatever the Diamond Club is. So,
Gene, I don't come to you with my problems, okay? You're going there to meet Binkley? Slow down. Oh, man. The jealousy is just oozing out of my pores. I kid. I tease. Jay's a friend of the show. I know that there are a lot of people listening that if you hear us mention the name Jay Binkley, immediately your blood boils.
Right.
He's become the nemesis of the sports bar because he's the Chiefs guy. And the Chiefs guy.
The Chiefs guy was just, thank you, Buffalo, for Patrick Mahomes.
He's always pro Kansas City. They can do no wrong.
Yeah, well, and then, of course, he's like, well, this is good because I got tickets for Friday night because you remember 2015, Gene? Yeah, 2015 when the Royals beat the Mets. Yeah, we're going to be giving away bobbleheads. You want a bobblehead? No, Jay, I'll give you mine.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got the table set. You're welcome to join us this afternoon. 866-4FAN is our phone number. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodsmokeBBQ.com. Well, let's take a look at the Calder Cup playoffs. He covers the AHL for AHL.com and NHL.com, making his inaugural visit into the sports bar. We welcome in Patrick Williams next on The Fan.
You're listening Sports Update.
Still waiting. Wednesday, Game 1, Round 2. Rochester hosting Laval. Amherst goaltender Devin Levi, he's ready.
This is going to be a whole new beast that we're going to be facing. Fight 1's done. Let's get ready for Fight 2. And it's fun. I'm looking forward to it. They're a good team. Obviously, they finished first in the league, but, it doesn't really matter. It's playoffs.
Patrick Williams, who covers the American Hockey League for AHL.com, NHL.com, scheduled to join us next here in the Sports Bar. Rochester Red Wings in Scranton once again tonight. Last night's rainout will not be made up, canceled altogether. The Yankees play in Sacramento for the first time tonight against the Athletics. The Mets hosting the Cubs. NBA tomorrow, it's Game 3 in New York. Knicks up 2-0 on Boston. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You're back in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia. A very good Friday to you. We're just a few days away from the start of Round 3, the Calder Cup playoffs here in the Eastern Conference.
Are we sure about that?
Oh, I hope so, man. There's a lot happening and a long layoff here for the Rochester Americans and the Rocket Laval. We welcome in Patrick Williams, who covers the AHL for AHL.com and NHL.com. And we've spent a lot of time, Patrick, in the last few days talking about this layoff and how unorthodox it is for these teams to have to play a game, a very meaningful postseason series after more than a week of a layoff here. Is this, I'm trying to remember, I don't remember this being kind of like standard practice. It feels different this year than in years past.
Yeah, it is. They adjusted the playoff format, I guess it was 3 years ago now, and yeah, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit not the conventional format. I mean, I know that last year, for example, the Hershey Bears, their first 41 days of the playoffs, they played 6 games, and then they got to the conference finals, and then it was basically every other day for a month. So there's a lot of different ways that coaches try to handle it, but this is, it definitely is unconventional, especially when you're a team like Rochester and you blow through your first round there with a 3-game sweep. You definitely get yourself a lot of time off, whether or not you want it.
Patrick, just if it's a developmental league, I get it for like the 4 or 5 matchup, even for the first round. But for these divisional finals, why not make this a best of 7? Why not give these kids a little more of an experience?
Yeah, I know it's been discussed at different points. I think they're still trying to kind of find their way with this format. The whole idea behind the format is you want more teams in the playoffs, more players getting experience, so on and so forth. And the main reason that they're not best of 7 at this stage is simply because if some of those early series go long, and as it was last year, the playoffs didn't finish until June 24th. So if you add another couple games on to each round, all of a sudden you're pushing into July. So, it's difficult this time of the year as well with arena availabilities, and also trying to get as many games as possible on the weekends. So there's a lot of different elements to juggle, and I think that's essentially what it all boils down to.
All right, so knowing that it's a best of 5, but then also knowing that it's a 2-3 format, not a 2-2-1 format, and there's a report in Montreal that this was actually up for debate, that Laval and Rochester were given the choice, and Laval wanted the 2-2-1, but Rochester took the 2-3 format instead. Did you see this report out of Montreal? And if that's so, I mean, if it's policy to go 2-3 outside of the 100-mile radius, why was that even brought up for debate?
Yeah, I did see that report. Essentially at this point, it comes down to saving money, saving wear and tear, travel, that sort of thing. And I've seen it go both ways, where you do the 2-2-1 or you do the 2-3, and sometimes the higher ranked team, it works out well for them. Sometimes it doesn't. If you go on the road and you lose 2 games, you're coming back home and you're playing for your season there before it's game 3. So on the other hand, if you could jump and even get a split on the road, then you're coming back home, and you have 3 games to really try to close out the series. So I don't know how much of that at this point of the year too is also some gamesmanship, right? Kind of like if your opponent wants to go one direction, you automatically want to go the other direction just to kind of get into each other's heads. So I think at this stage of the postseason, I don't read a whole lot into it. It's also the time of year too when you start getting a lot of media from outside of the AHL who don't quite follow things on a regular basis, so the pot tends to get stirred up a little bit more.
Yeah, Patrick Williams, who covers the AHL, our guest here. And Patrick, one of the reasons, and we're not going to pretend, right, of like we had a discussion, hey, who are the top 3 contenders for the Stanley Cup? And we'd have a fun debate. We'd talk about Toronto. Is this the year? Man, Dallas looks really good. America, I had no idea. So, there are 8 teams left right now in the American Hockey League. And no curry in favor, not here in the sports bar, but just your honest answer. Give us the 3 top contenders for the Calder Cup, in your opinion.
Well, right now, I mean, the tricky part is, you can get a really good team, and you can see your season fall apart in a couple games. You run into a hot goalie, like I'll give you an example. Charlotte last night, or 2 nights ago, 40 shots on net. They run into the goalie of the year in Providence. They lose. Now, so they're a team that's a legit contender. I would certainly put Rochester up there, provided Devin Levi continues what he's been doing. I certainly have every reason to think he can. I think a lot of people think this is maybe a little bit of a walk for Laval. I don't see that at all. Certainly with a guy like Levi, he's very much an equalizing force. And so, if I had to go right now, I can't take the Hershey Bears off the list yet. Back-to-back champs. I think it's theirs until somebody takes it away from them. I'll go Laval number 2, and out west, I would definitely go with Milwaukee now, provided they can kind of extract themselves from what they've gotten themselves into, being on the brink of elimination as well.
And you cover the entirety of the AHL, so even in the Pacific Division, you're paying attention to what those teams are doing. I feel like we always hear about Coachella Valley as the team that's in the finals out west. I mean, what can you tell us about the Pacific Division? Is there anything interesting with any of those teams?
Yeah, well, you have the Abbotsford Canucks, who got 7 players back from Vancouver at the end of the year. They'd already had a 13-game winning streak late in the year. I mean, I've always said this for as long as I can remember. This is a league of streaks, good and bad. And if you can kind of hit your stride at the right time of the year in the playoffs, you can go a long way. Coachella Valley, certainly back-to-back finalists as well. They're up against Abbotsford right now. Colorado Eagles, they were the Pacific Division champs, top team in the West during the regular season. So they're in the mix. It is a little difficult, though. You're right. In this league where, East and West see very little of each other. And so, these are teams that you largely just kind of, you see in the standings, but you don't really see on a regular basis. It makes it difficult to really get a kind of a sense, where everybody stands. And that's what I try to do. I really do try to keep the entire league, under the microscope and really get a sense of, okay, you've got Rochester, you've got Laval, but you've also got these teams out west. Where do they all stack up?
Patrick Williams, our guest here. You can read his work, AHL.com, NHL.com, and other places. And Patrick, we have this discussion because 2 years ago we felt really good about this Amherst team, and they ran into the eventual champion in Hershey. But that year you had Malcolm Subban, and nothing against Malcolm Subban. And then last year an early exit, but is the difference this year, you brought up Levi and you wrote about Levi here. When it comes to goaltenders in the American Hockey League, is he right up there at this point, or the situation in Laval? Where would you rank Levi right now in terms of this league?
In this league right now, top 3, at worst, top 5, with potential. Honestly, I think he can be the top guy in this league. The right circumstances, the right matchup. He's legit. For anyone that hasn't spoken with him, great head on his shoulders. And I think, unlike a lot of young players who want to be in the NHL yesterday, he's really embraced the whole idea of going to Rochester, taking his time, developing, getting the number one workload there. It's not all about, well, I want to be in Buffalo right now. It's okay, I'm in Rochester. My focus is here. I'm not paying attention to what's going on in Buffalo. And you don't get that from a lot of players. He's 23 years old, very mature though, beyond his years. And certainly a player that, this can be a big stepping stone for him, right? Obviously with Buffalo, there's, a lot in flux, to say the least. A good playoff run, even, a championship run. He certainly wouldn't be the first goalie to use that and catapult him, to a full-time job up top, for years to come.
Patrick Williams covers the AHL for AHL.com and also NHL.com. Patrick, give us a little bit of color on the Amerks opponent here in the North Division in Laval. We know about their regular season. We know that they won the division, and we also know that Montreal is out of the playoffs, so wondering about the reinforcements that they may have gotten from their parent club. The atmosphere there in Laval we know will be electric come Game 3. Tell us a little bit more about the Amerks opponent here coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah, Amerks fans, I think, will be familiar with that environment from a couple years back when they met in the playoffs. It hasn't changed one bit. It's a loud, raucous environment, not unlike Rochester in the playoffs as well. So kind of the big story with Laval right now is they brought in Jacob Fowler, kind of their answer to Devin Levi. Right out of Boston College, came in, stepped in for Caden Primo, who came down, mid-season from Montreal and was 21. He won 21 of his 26 starts with Laval. So kind of a bit of a two-headed monster there in net for Laval. They're young, but very well coached. Pascal Vincent, I know him from my time in Winnipeg. Coach of the year twice now, including this season. Very well structured. And just a team that they play with a little bit of feistiness, right? Like they can definitely get under your skin. There's a lot of, that kind of after the whistle, poking and, so the Amerks really have to be disciplined. But the Amerks, they have a heck of a team as well. So I think this is a series that definitely will go 5 games. I think anybody that thinks Laval's just going to walk over the Amerks, I think is probably mistaken.
Yeah, it's it would have been a lot of fun right after the Four Nations tournament to have a team that has Americans across their sweater and going up to Canada against. I don't know why they're not the Laval Canadiens, or maybe they rename the team at this point. I mean, you don't think other people are going to pick up on this, little interesting story between the Americans and the Canadians, do you, Patrick?
No, but there will be a lot of focus there, especially with the big team, Montreal, done for the year. All the focus now turns on, the Rocket. Laval is only about 20 minutes outside of Montreal, so it's essentially within that market. And you'll have a full building. You'll have the TV, the media, the whole 9 yards there. So it'll definitely be a different environment for the Amerks to walk into. Maybe from, what it was last round for sure, but they can handle it. I mean, you have a really, really good young coach there in Rochester and, a team that's, I think they've been through some of these battles, some of these players 2 years ago with Hershey. And this is a team I think Amerks fans definitely should get behind because I think they're a team, if they can get past Laval here, I think there's definitely a pathway to the finals. You
mentioned the young head coach of the Rochester Americans. We get the chance to talk to Mike Leone every week here on our show, and we have our impression of him. But I'm curious of what your impression of him, what the rest of the league's impression is of Mike Leone, because to our eyes, and I think to a lot of fans, he's a bit of a departure, a bit of a left turn from what they had in previous years with Seth Appert.
Yeah, he is. Seth Appert, really, did a lot of good work there. Got a lot of players ready for Buffalo. Great developer. Leone's a lot of the same way that any coach today now has to have that development aspect to them. Very straight shooter. Kind of what you see is what you get type of coach. That's certainly the reputation he's built early on, and a team that's well organized, which is really tough in this league, right? With the way the rosters and turnover changes, and you got a lot of players, on any given team that have different objectives sometimes, and he's been able to corral that, get it in kind of a nice organized format there, and kind of a team that every night you pretty much can expect a pretty poised performance, and I think that poise is something that really stands out with this Rochester team. That that's difficult with young players sometimes, and if you believe the adage that team peaks on the personality of its head coach, I think that the Amerks have definitely done that with Leone. So first year coach, I think he's stepped in and he's done a fantastic job. He hadn't been pro head coach before, and he that's a huge adjustment for anyone. And he's come in and I think really turned a lot of heads with what he's done there.
Yeah. Last one for me, and it's a little different, but the American Hockey League, looking ahead to next season, are you hearing anything about any affiliate changes, any different markets? This used to be very common in this league, and gosh, I go back many years, and remembering the Binghamton Whalers and the Utica Devils, the Capital District Islanders. I mean, there are a ton of teams, but are you hearing anything different for next year, Patrick?
No, it's pretty stable. It's been that way for the last few years for the most part. I mean, you're right. You used to get 4 or 5 affiliation or market changes every year, and the league worked a long time to really get that stabilized. Now that you have just about every team kind of in a really sensible geographical location, that was the huge push. About 10 years ago, obviously going to the West Coast. There aren't really a whole lot of openings now. I know that there's a lot of interest from prospective owners out there that would like to buy a team and maybe move a team into their market, but there's just not much happening. The Amerks were, with Buffalo, going all the way back to 1979, they were kind of one of the first teams that really, got that geographical fit with the NHL club. And it took a long time, but the rest of the hockey world, NHL has pretty much followed suit, and so I don't expect anything dramatic at all. I think you're probably going to have to wait till NHL expansion at this point to really see any sort of real movement again.
What do you hear about that expansion within the NHL? I mean, you see teams like Utah and you see teams like Seattle, and of course Vegas winning a cup already. I mean, they seem to fit in just nicely, and the expansion draft makes it so that they're competitive right away. Are you hearing about the NHL looking into other markets? We hear lots of rumors, but nothing really substantial.
Yeah, I sure do. I mean, I hear the same rumors you're hearing. I mean, certainly, you look at a market like Houston, and, it was a long-time AHL market as well. Really good, solid fan base there. Good corporate base, obviously. A lot of transplants, with the oil and gas business there, from Western Canada. So, you'd kind of be walking into a, pretty good situation there if you're the NHL. Atlanta, obviously, has come up a lot, building plans there. I think Phoenix at some point, if they can get their building squared away, will certainly be back in the NHL. And then kind of that fourth team would be maybe a little bit of a wild card at this point. But, certainly as the NHL grows, the AHL grows. So if you get 3 or 4 expansion teams, well, the AHL will certainly follow suit, and you'll start to fill in that map a little bit more. It's you go back to the days of the Binghamton Whalers and Utica Devils. I mean, this league from what it was then to now is markedly different.
Talking Calder Cup playoffs with Patrick Williams, who covers the AHL for AHL.com, also the NHL at NHL.com. And before we let you go, I mean, we're talking Calder Cup. What about the Stanley Cup? How are you enjoying the playoffs so far this year, Patrick?
Oh, it's been incredible. Like I covered the Winnipeg Jets for 5 years, and seeing that game last Sunday night. I mean, I think just like the rest of us, you're just watching that finish, and kind of just a jaw-dropping finish. And then the night before, you had the Dallas-Colorado game, and now you have Rantanen with back-to-back hat tricks. So that first round obviously is always kind of wild, and now you're saying you're down to the final 8, and now now things really get real. It's been a great start so far. I mean, three Canadian teams still going, which is obviously big news for the league, and we'll see where this whole thing goes. But it's playoff hockey, right? So it's you never quite know what you're going to get, but we'll stay tuned, I guess.
Who do you like?
I like Florida. I know they're in a jam right now, but like for a team that's down 2-0, has to win 4 of the next 5. They seem very kind of poised right now and composed, and I think they could easily get back in that series. I mean, of course, if they do, that would only exacerbate the tensions in Toronto, which are always kind of at a fever pitch anyway. So that would certainly be a storyline, and then. Yeah, I think Florida, and maybe we'll get Florida Edmonton repeat, right? Like Edmonton, takes 2 games in Vegas, and they're looking good. Dallas obviously getting through Colorado, that was a huge step forward, and so maybe we'll get Florida Dallas. But I guess we'll have to stay tuned. But it's funny, like just with between the Calder Cup playoffs and the NHL, it's. You don't always think of May and June as kind of being, the busiest time of the year, but in a lot of ways it really is. And, it's a great time of year if you're a hockey fan, and, it's a nice way to go into summer for sure.
I think Amherst fans would love to be busy in the month of June here coming up, but you got to get by Laval first. Patrick, tell everybody, our audience, where they can find more of your work.
Yeah, so I'm as you mentioned, I'm NHL.com and the AHL.com, also Flow Sports, which they broadcast all the games around the league, and on Twitter at P Williams AHL, real simple. So handle. So always talking hockey, talking AHL, and I mean second best league in the world. Amherst fans know what they have there, and they have a good thing.
Patrick, appreciate the time. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You got it. There's Patrick Williams. He covers the AHL and the NHL, AHL.com, NHL.com. You can find his work online, and really nice having him on with us to give us a bigger sense of what's going on here, what the Amerks have in front of them, not just with Laval, but potentially the rest of the AHL as well.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, if you asked any Amerks fan, oh, gosh, it's either Laval or the Amerks, and then give me the top 3, Hershey, Laval, and Milwaukee. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Well,
yeah, you can't argue that.
Because Rochester has to show that they belong. They have to put up or shut up. We've been here before. We know what this looks like. We've been to the Eastern Conference before. We know what that looks like. You want to be considered one of the top 3 in the league, you got to make it to the final. You got to get past the Lavals and the Hersheys and see what you're made of against those teams out west. I believe that this is going to be a special run. Well, I believe that. We will see how it all shakes out starting Wednesday.
If they get by Laval, and now you get to a best of 7 with Devin Levi.
Yeah.
Short series is so dangerous. So dangerous.
It really is. I mean, even if the unlikely happens and the Amerks win their first 2 games at home and they beat Laval Wednesday and Friday night, go to Laval with a 2-0 series lead, you can't say it's over until the series is over. And we felt the same way about Syracuse, right? Wow, they beat Syracuse 2-0. They dropped the hammer on them 4-0 in game 2. Did anybody predict that the Amerks would win game 3 by the same result as game 2? Nobody predicted that. You can't predict what's gonna happen.
You're going into the third period and you're only up 1-0. Okay, right. Like you're thinking, okay, hold on to. Oh, we got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Wednesday night, it all gets underway at Blue Cross Arena. Of course, if you're not able to go to the arena, we encourage you to go to the arena, support your local home team, your Rochester Americans. You could hear the action here on your home of Amherst Hockey, the Fan Rochester.
Yeah, we've got time for your takes. Our phone number, 866-4FAN. If you like to talk Amherst Hockey, like to talk about how we deduced who the Buffalo Bills will open up against.
Yeah.
We'll have Sal Capaccio joining us next hour as well. And Danger, it's never too soon to start thinking about fantasy football.
You're right. Scott Pianowski of Yahoo is one of our favorites. He has given us his top 5 fantasy football offenses now that we have rosters that are like 99% solidified going into training camp. So who does Pianowski at Yahoo like? Who are his top 5 teams, and where does he have the Buffalo Bills ranked? We'll share that with you, Gino. Think about it, and we'll come back and lay that out here. And we'll also be joined by Sal Capaccio, as you mentioned. He'll be joining us here in about a half an hour or so. Rookie minicamp report and his conversation in the It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast with Sean McDermott. We'll break down all of that coming up here next on The Fan.
Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Looks a little like football season. Buffalo Bills rookie minicamp beginning today. Max Harrison, the top overall pick.
I was excited. Finally get out there, get some action, go against offense. It was exciting. It was a lot, just adjusting from the college game to this, but man, I enjoyed myself. A lot to work on, but just felt good to get my feet wet again.
We'll talk to Sal Capaccio, WGR, and the Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast. Joins us later this hour. Still waiting for the Rochester Americans to get going with LaValle. Game 1 here coming up on Wednesday. Rochester Red Wings still in Scranton. Last night rained out. That will not be made up. Canceled altogether. The Yankees, first time they play in Sacramento tonight. They take on the Athletics. The Mets hosting the Cubs. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
It's rookie minicamp, people. Woo-hoo. Players are on the field. The new league year is upon us.
They can't come out with a schedule until we know what Aaron Rodgers is doing.
Pope Leo announcing that he is actually a White Sox fan.
Yes! Jordan Hudson is welcome at the football facilities. Pablo Torre had reported on his podcast that she was banned.
I'm not talking about this.
Mike Danger.
It's all going our way.
Gene Battaglia.
Is this a sign from above?
T-Wolves ripped the Warriors 117-93, even the series had won.
Besides Draymond Green, I was not chanting Draymond sucks.
Game 2 to Edmonton. Final 5-4 in overtime.
And good night, Carolina. We are all square heading to the Tar Heel State.
To all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
No CVS flowers.
No.
All right, take care of mom. Take care of your wife. No debating. No arguing. Yes, yes. Just show up and say yes. Marriage is a continuous negotiation. Don't screw this up, gentlemen.
Get up early on Sunday. Take care of breakfast. Take care of the kids.
I do crepes. That's my go-to.
You put me to shame.
I just put together some crepes, some crepes, in bed, a little breakfast in bed. That's become the tradition, the expectation. Go ahead and do what you need to do, but make sure you take care of your wife, take care of mom. Happy Mother's Day. If you're a mom listening, happy Mother's Day to you. Thank you for all you do. I think we may have figured out, or at least we want to believe we know the Bills and when they will be playing on week 1.
Yes. So Josh Allen is going to be on the Today Show, apparently. That'll be coming up on Monday morning. The Today Show, by various reports, going to be the first show, the first network to say, hey, this is the game that we are teasing. Full stop. Like Josh Allen, they're not inviting him on to talk about, wow, you know what? The Eagles are opening up against the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. How about that? No, there's a different reason. So can we deduce then that the Bills are going to be on Sunday Night Football in week 1?
I think we can. Chris Brown earlier today on One Bills Live.
Could the Bills have the first Sunday night football game of the season? We were all kind of putting our heads together in the bullpen this morning. Who would be the most likely opponent for a week 1 Sunday night home game for the Bills, if that's what it proves to be? And so we were talking about Bengals being a legitimate possibility week 1 Sunday night.
I think the Bengals are a legitimate possibility.
Okay, full stop there. You watched the draft, right?
Yeah.
And I know this to be true because I worked one event like this. The Major League Baseball expansion draft in 1993, where I was the runner, and I'm tipping the picks to Peter Gammons. And Peter Gammons knew in advance who the Marlins claimed or who the Rockies claimed or whatever it is. When you're watching the NFL draft and all of a sudden they segue to, this would make a smart pick here, this player. They know. They know before the announcement. So in that spirit, does Chris Brown know? He works for the Bills. Does he know it's the Bengals? Would it be harmful for him to put that out there today, just as speculation?
Well, I think if we're all allowed to speculate, you say whatever you want, which is why last hour I said, give me the Chiefs. I want Kansas City, week 1, in prime time. I want a rematch of the AFC Championship game. You want the NFL wants a big number. You're not going to get a bigger number than that on Sunday night. If it's the Bills hosting Sunday Night Football.
So you need to put the Chiefs, the perpetual contender, and coming off an AFC Championship game, and it's a little different, right? Okay, they're coming back. They want to reclaim what they think is theirs. You're not putting them on Sunday at 1. You're not putting them on Sunday at 4. You're not putting them on Monday Night Football. We'll put it that way.
Correct. Although, if you were to play Cincinnati, if you're Buffalo and you have to host Cincinnati, I would want to play them week 1. Like, that would be the ideal time. So I get what Brownie is saying. Like, if you want Cincinnati at a time that is advantageous to the Buffalo Bills, get them week 1. But I think the same could be said for Kansas City or Baltimore. I just remember that Kansas City-Baltimore week 1 matchup last year was just an unbelievable game. And so if you believe that the Bills have what it takes to be a Super Bowl contender this year, and I think most people do, you'd expect that would be, if it was Kansas City, or if it was the Bills in Kansas City, that would be an intense week 1 matchup.
You know what's funny about, I'm looking at the Eagles. We haven't even discussed, like, who will the Eagles open up against Thursday night. And when the Eagles won it back that year, Nick Foles, the following year they opened up against Atlanta and just like, ugh.
Yeah, that's gross.
That was gross.
I think it's Washington.
Well, I'm looking at this. I think you could make a legitimate argument for any of these teams that are going to Philadelphia. Certainly any of the no.
Dallas would be a home run.
No, the Giants, I'm like, nah, I don't want to see that.
Dallas or Washington would be a home run.
Dallas or Washington. Detroit.
I'd be more interested in Washington or Dallas, to be honest with you.
Your Chicago Bears.
Nah.
Rams.
Yeah. Rematch of the divisional. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad, but I still think it wouldn't be better than Dallas or Washington.
Denver.
No.
Ashton Genty and the Raiders. No, they're not going to serve that up.
If you're in Philly, you're salivating. I think you want Dallas. I think you want Dallas week 1 in primetime. I think what you'll get is a rematch of the NFC Championship.
And you should salivate it.
And that would be great, too.
Yeah, you would want that.
So if NBC has their big announcement Monday morning on the Today Show, and they're announcing the Thursday night kickoff and the Sunday night kickoff, wouldn't they love to be able to announce rematches of both the NFC and AFC Championship games? Week 1.
We figured everything out here in the sports bar.
We solved all the world's problems. Well, we'll wait for that announcement Monday morning.
We'll get confirmation from Sal Capaccio. I say that tongue in cheek. He doesn't know.
He's joining us in 15 minutes. We'll talk about Bill's minicamp, but also his conversation in the It's Always Game Day in Buffalo pod that he had with head coach Sean McDermott. Scott Pianowski has given us his top 5 fantasy offenses for 2025. Now that we're through free agency, now that we're through the draft, now that most rosters are set, waiting on Pittsburgh, but most rosters you could say with some certainty, okay, that's set. So who does he like? Who does he have in his top 5? And where does he have the Buffalo Bills in all of this?
Okay, so this is a fun question, and I'm not going to rank them 1 through 5. Are you fair enough if I get the top 5 here?
Sure.
Okay. What would you consider a win? Getting 3 of 5? 4 of 5?
No, 5 of 5.
5 of 5.
Yeah. No pressure, Gino.
All right. Well,
because there's a couple teams in here that he has that I don't necessarily agree with, but I can see what he's saying. I can see the wisdom in what he's saying.
Okay. Let me tell you who didn't make it. I don't have Buffalo being a team, just because if you're just looking at through the fantasy lens and everybody eats is not good for your fantasy team. You want sure targets. So, yes, Josh Allen on your fantasy team, 100%. James Cook, yes. Everything else after that, it's debatable week to week. Kansas City, to me, did not make my top 5. What? I want teams with balance and the running game. I'm not so sure who's going to be getting the top targets. Maybe that comes into focus. You can't not – top 5 for me. Philadelphia, defending champs, Saquon Barkley, enough said, and 2 great receivers and a tight end. Cincinnati, of course. Who led the league in passing yardage last year? That's going to go away? Give me Baltimore. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, dual threat, piling up lots of yards. Derrick Henry, safe play. This is where it gets interesting. Who would I have as 4 and 5? Well, dual threat quarterback, weapons on offense. I'm going to take Washington, and I'm going to take a team that likes to chuck it down the field, where their defense is a little suspect. Give me Tampa Bay in the top 5.
Okay.
So, again, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Washington, Baltimore, Tampa Bay. Mike Danger, what is the answer?
You have 1, 2, 3. 3 out of the 5. 3 out of his 5. Couple of you missed his number 1. His number 1 is not.
No, you can't say Dallas.
It's not Philadelphia. His number 1 is not Philadelphia. His number 1 is not Cincinnati. His number 1.
This is all right.
Think offensive weapons. Think of a team in the NFC.
Minnesota?
Nope.
Oh, Detroit.
Detroit. He's got Detroit at 1. And that, I think that's, like, you could argue that. You could debate that because you don't really know. We don't really know.
Funny. I look at Jared Goff and I'm like, but Gibbs is good. Yeah.
Great offensive line with Gibbs, with Amon-Ra St. Brown. No Ben Johnson, but you've got a lot of talent on that offense. So he's got Detroit 1. He's got the Eagles 2. And I think when you look at what Saquon produced last year, what Jalen Hurts consistently produces, with or without the tush push, I think you've got a pretty good foundation. A.J. Brown. The Bengals 3rd. I mean, you look at Higgins and Chase side by side. Chase is your number 1 wide receiver going into fantasy drafts. Higgins is top 5. I believe he's 5th in a lot of rankings that you'll see. He does have the Bucs in the top 5. He has the Bucs at number 4.
Okay. And then, so Baltimore or Washington, neither one of them, because I've used up my, so it's not Washington. I'm surprised Baltimore didn't make it.
Baltimore is 6th. He's got Baltimore just outside the top 5.
Okay. Devontae Adams and the Rams? Is he going with the Rams?
You're on the right coast. He's got the Niners at 5.
Get out. Based on what?
He likes Kittle.
Okay.
He likes Purdy. He thinks Purdy is above average.
His opinion.
And Kyle Shanahan.
Well, yeah, but like, who's carrying the ball for this team? Okay, Christian McCaffrey. When does he get hurt? And how many handcuffs do you got to get?
That's what I love about fantasy football. Letting the debate begin. It's May, but we have a debate on our hands.
All right, so where does he have Buffalo? I would say probably not in top 10. I would say 12.
He's got Buffalo in the top 10.
He's got Buffalo in the top 10.
Scott Pianowski listens to the Sports Bar
9 times.
Buffalo's ranked 9th in his power rankings. Power rankings. Dallas Cowboys ranked 7th. And when you see the addition of George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, what that might mean for both of those guys, he also mentions Jaden Blue, the rookie, which is kind of the unknown. Like, if you think about the Dallas backfield, I'm not sold on Javonte Williams going to Dallas and having a resurgence. In fact, I think that's...
Is that biased, though, because you and I have fallen into the Javonte Williams trap based on a burst in Denver. They didn't use him. No. Well, he's in Dallas now for a reason, right?
I just don't think he's the same player that Denver drafted out of North Carolina. He's got the Vikings at 8. And a lot of that hinging on the health of J.J. McCarthy. But Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, and, of course, Kevin O'Connell orchestrating all of it. So the Vikings are in the top 10. I mentioned the Bills at 9. His 10th team, we're talking about fantasy offenses in the offseason now with free agency and the draft behind us. He has the Falcons at 10. I like Bijan. I do like Bijan a lot going into this year. When Bijan looked like Bijan with Kirk Cousins behind center, I'm like, wait until you have a dual threat quarterback like Penix and watch what it does to Bijan. And it happened. Bijan with Penix behind center was magical last year.
Would you draft Bijan Robinson over Christian McCaffrey?
Yes.
I would too, just because McCaffrey at this point, you can't bank on 17 games. Just curious. Does he go 1 through 32, or is he just?
No, I got them all.
Got them all. Who would be the worst? Huh. Well, I'm sorry, Steeler fans, but you're in that conversation without a quarterback.
They're in the conversation. They're not the worst.
You're in that conversation, but I would have to say, Danger, if your incumbent quarterback is Spencer Rattler, it's got to be the Saints.
Saints are 30th.
30th? Mm-hmm. Who's worse? Boy, this is fun. Now, the Jets, just because they have some pieces, they have Garrett Wilson. Titans.
The Titans are the worst.
Titans
are the worst.
Yeah. That's why we're not talking about this quarterback, because, like, you can't envision success because who's helping him?
Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, both on the wrong side of 30. Tony Pollard in the backfield.
Who's good in Dallas 3 years ago.
Tajay Spears, I think, still in that backfield as well. So kind of thin in Tennessee. And Pianowski has the Browns just ahead of them at 31.
Which, see, that's the fun part. If one of these two quarterbacks kind of rises up and, all right, things might look. But again, who's leading the team in targets?
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Right. I will say, for as much flack as Shedeur got for the slide during the NFL draft, the footage of him getting to his locker in the NFL, his first NFL locker in the Cleveland Browns, to see his kind of like reaction, it was almost like he started glowing just at the thought of being in the locker room, having his own locker. I kind of like that. I don't know what kind of a pro he's going to be. I know he's a polarizing figure. I know his old man is a polarizing figure, but I kind of liked how they showed that Shedeur walking to his locker for the first time, and his reaction was just kind of that of like a kid on Christmas morning.
Isn't that a team that when we get the schedules and after you digest it, like, oh, yeah, I want to see the preseason here. Don't you hope that you see the Browns in the preseason?
I want to see the Browns. Yeah, I'll watch the Browns preseason action. I've got to see how Shedeur performs at the next level, even though he'll probably be playing against some backups. Maybe not in all cases. We mentioned the Steelers. Right? I said they're 28th. Yeah, the Steelers. I mean, you have to. There really isn't much outside of Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see what happens with Pittsburgh there.
Peter tweeting us a meme. And, Josh Allen on the Today Show, handsome guy on the red carpet, and then I don't know if this is a wrestler, some guy, Aaron Rodgers, announcing his intentions for 2025, creeping up from behind. Like, Aaron Rodgers isn't trying to win the news cycle with this, is he? I'm convinced that we'll get to the 4th of July break here in the sports bar, be like, yeah, no,
nothing from Rodgers, right?
Nothing from Rodgers.
Yeah, and at what point if you're Pittsburgh, do you just say, we have to move forward?
Yeah, that would have been March.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's almost as if they're saying, hey, let's see what we have, which isn't much, but let's see. Maybe we have something we can work with. Like the idea that Mike Tomlin is entrusting Arthur Smith and that offense, like, what do we have? What do we have? Do we actually need to go and get Aaron Rodgers? Do we actually have to meet him at his price? Because we don't want to, we don't believe it. I think that's don't hold your breath, Pittsburgh.
Is there another option we can't see? I doubt it. Meaning, all right, would the Steelers trade for Kirk Cousins? At that point, like, why even bother? And you're going to be paying more money for Kirk Cousins than you would for Aaron Rodgers. If indeed Aaron Rodgers, if it's about money, $10 million seems like a relative bargain. But I don't know if there's another team out there. You can't rely on final cut down day. Like, all 5 quarterbacks are not making the Cleveland Browns. We can all agree, right? And probably the guy that's the odd man out is Joe Flacco. That's not going to save you or any other team.
Kev tweets us at the fan Rochester. Seattle's going to be bad this year. Bad offense. Seahawks are 20th. Look, I don't know what Sam Darnold's going to be in Seattle. I want to believe that we'll see more of what we saw against Minnesota, but we'll learn quickly how much of that was actually Sam Darnold, how much of that was Kevin O'Connell's offense with Sam Darnold quarterbacking it. But you're getting Cooper Kupp. JSN is still there. You imagine he would be your wide receiver 1 out of Seattle with Kupp, gobbling up some targets as well. Not great, but they're not going to be the worst. Thanks for the tweet, Kev. Let's move on to Sal Capaccio, WGR. It's always game day in Buffalo. That's where Sal had a conversation with Sean McDermott here in the last 24 hours.
I listened to it. It's really good because you don't hear McDermott in this context. And I guess the first question is, like, why? Like, after all these years, like, Sean McDermott actually sitting down in this format and talking, there's a lot of personal things in there he's talking about.
Right.
Yeah, talking a little bit about the schedule, too. Like, what is Sean McDermott looking for when he sees it? I thought, there's a lot of useful info. We'll let, not to take it away the shine here from Sal, who's joining us in a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll also get a report from Rookie Minicamp, which is underway in Orchard Park as well. Sal Capaccio, WGR, joining us next on The Fan.
You're listening. Sports Update.
Bills rookie camp beginning today. Max Harrison, the top overall pick, has got a positive attitude.
I'm enjoying it, just taking it all in, realizing that I'm back at level 1 and just embracing that, being somebody that I'm just eager to learn, I'm eager to get better, and, just excited to keep going out there and practicing.
Sal Capaccio, WGR, and the Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast, joining us next here in the Sports Bar. The wait still going on for the Amerks. Wednesday, Game 1, Rochester hosting Laval. We'll have all the action beginning next week here on the Fan Rochester. Red Wings tonight in Scranton. Last night rained out. That's not going to be made up. Yankees tonight playing in Sacramento against the Athletics. The Mets hosting the Cubs. Knicks and Celtics. That series resumes tomorrow afternoon. Team Battaglia, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
We're back in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia. Always excited to be joined by Sal Capaccio, WGR, our Odyssey Sports sister station in Buffalo, and the It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast, where Sal had the chance to talk to Bills head coach Sean McDermott. And Sal, we have so many questions about your conversation with the coach, and we know that rookie minicamp is underway as well. We want to get your report on what you saw out of the rookies. Welcome back into the sports bar. What's going on with Sean McDermott? It feels like this offseason he might be a little bit more accessible. I mean, we've seen him kind of, I don't want to say lighten up as a pejorative, but I mean, having him do snow angels after the Niners game and just, clowning around a little bit during the combine. Are we seeing a new Sean McDermott here?
Well, yeah, but I do think it started last year. I don't think this is new now. I don't think he's really more accessible right now. I think he was really kind of more accessible starting last year. I think he was doing more of these kinds of things. But that being said, you're right about it. I mean, he's been different. But it's been a year now. This was a big talking point last year at the media. We've asked him about it. He was even asked about it last year during the season. Like, Sean, why do you seem like you're just, you're opening up more and you're a different person and all of that. So, what we got yesterday, it's always game day in Buffalo. Matt Bovey and I were just, we were really thankful and we were able to do it. And background story is, guys, we were gonna do this during the owners' meetings, but Sean got caught up with his schedule and all that with the being on the competition committee. And honestly, kind of like, okay, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't. The Bills themselves actually reached out to us, and shout out to Bills PR director Derek Boyko, did a really nice job to kind of circle back and say, hey, we'd still love to do this with you guys if you want to do it. And we're like, yeah, of course, we'd love to have Sean McDermott on. And I'm so thankful we did it now instead of the owners' meetings. If we did it in the owners' meetings, it would have been about football, right? Okay, what do you think about the rules changes? You're on the competition committee. What do you think about the wide receiver room? That's not what we did. That's all been done. We just really talked football, life, philosophies, team building. His passion for, coaching and really trying to bring a championship to Buffalo was really, he shared some great stories. We learned a lot about him. So I do think you've seen a new Sean McDermott. I don't think it just started. I think that's kind of been something that's been going on for about a year now.
Yeah, Sal, it's a great listen, great get by you. And I would encourage anybody, because who really is Sean McDermott? And it's fine. Like, he doesn't need to show a personal side when we get in the season, but this is something we really haven't. Like, learning that he likes to dance. I'm trying to picture what that may look like. You also asked him the question, all right, Sean, like, how far do you actually see yourself going here? Might you, kind of go a few more years, or are you going to be somebody like, somebody that goes till he's 70 here in this league?
Yeah, and kind of caught him off guard with that question. And, I don't think he wants to, like, put a timeline and stamp on when he's going to coach. That's not fair to anybody, himself or his employer or his family, anybody like that. But I think at the end of the day, if you listen to that answer, you listen to him talk about it, he went in the weeds a little bit, but I think the takeaway I got was, like, I'm going to do this till I win a championship, and then we'll see, right? I think that's really what I got from that, which is I'm here to win a championship. It's in his blood. It's in his DNA. His dad was a football coach, and I've gotten to know his dad a little bit over the years coming to games. His dad and, Sean, I should say, has been coaching a long time right away when he, got out of William & Mary, and got into coaching. He's been around some really successful coaches, and Andy Reid and Ron Rivera. He's had a lot of success. He's coached in a Super Bowl. He's obviously done what he's done here in Buffalo. So I think when you have that, a lot of times the shelf life for these coaches is so short. But when you have that kind of success and you are chasing a championship and it's right there and you haven't won it, it almost kind of fuels you to keep going for as long as you can.
Sal, I know that he's become somewhat polarizing with fans, and I know a lot of fans are grateful for everything Beane and McDermott have done during their time here because they pulled this team out of a drought and out of the doldrums into a consistent contender. He always talks about the culture. He always talks about the accountability. He did so with you and Matt on the pod. Do you think that message continues to land in the locker room, especially after another playoff letdown in the AFC Championship game? Do you think his message may be wearing thin with some of the guys that have been around him a long time?
Not according to those guys. They believe in Sean McDermott. They believe in the messaging and everything he says. And I think the key word for me is trust. They trust him. They'll talk about that a lot, and I guess I would point to this as an example of proof of this. How many guys come back to this organization, even after a year, right? Like Tre'Davious White gone for a year, Dane Jackson 1 year, right? These guys, this isn't the first time that's happened. Mitch Trubisky gone for a year, and I know he wasn't here a long time. And I think that's because
Sal, they need to work too, though.
Okay, well they could go somewhere else. I mean, if they're offered contracts, right?
I mean, they could if they're offered contracts.
Sure. Are you saying the Bills are the only teams offering contracts? Maybe, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't think so. I don't think that's the case. Maybe. I guess if they're the only team negotiating against themselves, then they shouldn't be paying $3 million for Tre'Davious White, right? I mean, they can give him a minimum salary. But people come here. I mean, that's fine. You don't have to believe me. You can listen to them. We asked them this question. Like, why do you come back? Well, I love Buffalo. I love playing for Coach McDermott. Tre'Davious White specifically said, I have a special bond with him. I don't think it's wearing thin. And Sean himself says every year is a new year. Like he is very aware that you can't always have the same messaging over and over. Now, are you going to have the same kind of expectations, the same rules, all those things that kind of go into, being a head football coach? Sure. But Sean will tell you every team is different. Every personality is different. So you have to treat that year different. So you're not going to, do everything the same and say everything the same all the time.
Yeah, you're kind of taking a little detour here on this and building off of it. When you recorded the pod, it was on the day that, hey, Gabe Davis got released. And I don't know if, on your show, but certainly over here, Sal, it was kind of a topic where we debated and people felt strongly on both sides. Like, yeah, I would bring him back, or no, you want to improve. So, I mean, where do you come down on Gabe Davis coming back? Because after all, he was a team captain, but there are other guys right now that could certainly fill those spots in the wide receiver core.
Well, I could tell you that Gabe really loved Buffalo when he left. That was a financial decision. The team, I think, rightfully didn't want to offer him the money he got to go to Jacksonville. And Gabe, good for him, he got that money. That being said, I just don't know if it would work this time around. Now, if he were to come back, even if both sides were interested, you're talking about Gabe Davis probably being a number 4 receiver. I don't know if that's really the role that you would want him to have or envision him to have. I think that there are things that they love. There are a lot of things they love about Gabe Davis. He did win the Iron Bill Award 2 years ago. 2 years in a row. That is the award given to the hardest worker in the off season. So DNA-wise, culture-wise, hard worker-wise, 100%. I think that they would absolutely welcome Gabe Davis back. I think, for me, this would be a football decision. They've already done enough at wide receiver, they feel, as we know from a couple weeks ago with Brandon Beane on with Jeremy White and, how that all went down. I think they feel that, they have a strong room. Now, that being said, I'll be the first to tell you, I mean, competition's great, and the Bills love competition. If you're Gabe Davis, though, are you looking at the Bills roster and saying, I have opportunity there, or can I go to Pittsburgh? Can I go to the Giants and Brian Daboll, right?
Yeah.
Also, guys, he did get released with a failed physical designation, so I do wonder what the injury situation is for any team to sign him right now.
Sal, you've been around the team a long time. You get the chance to talk to McDermott on the It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast, and you can kind of sense his tone. Do you feel like there's an urgency with McDermott? Does he have the luxury of time knowing that this window with Josh Allen, I mean, every year that passes, it's going to be harder and harder as he gets older and older?
I think the Bills have kind of showed you that they feel kind of that way by doing this offseason with the extensions. I think the extensions this offseason, guys, were a direct reflection of them saying we have 5 years left with Josh in his prime. That's what it is. We've locked up Greg Rousseau, Khalil Shakir, Terrell Bernard, Christian Benford, each for 5 more years, right? 1 more year and then 4 years after that. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of them got the exact same deal, and then Josh's deal goes 1 year beyond that. Because I think the organization is telling everybody, we have 5 years to do this, to win at least one of these things. So I don't know if I say it's going to get harder because Josh is still really great. Mm-hmm. He's the MVP of the league for the first time. He could still be an MVP again this year. I don't know if it's harder, but I do think there's a window there that everyone kind of recognizes.
We're talking to Sal Capaccio, Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast, Bills rookie minicamp schedule coming out, and listening to McDermott on your pod there, he likes routine. We all like routine when it comes to the schedule. Sal, I know they don't slip you the schedule in advance here. However, saw that you got this little tip from Patrick Hammer. Are we allowed to kind of connect dots that the Buffalo Bills might be on Sunday Night Football to open the season?
So what happened this morning was, I'm glad you asked me because I have an update on this. So Patrick Hammer, WGRZ TV2 chief meteorologist here, NBC affiliate in Buffalo. He texted me this morning and said that the Today Show teased Josh Allen going on Monday. Now, we know this happens every year. Today Show, Good Morning America, CBS This Morning, they always have like a football game reveal with a big person involved, right? Whether that's Jim Nantz and Tony Romo or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, whoever it is. And it's something on their network. Well, that's going to start happening next week leading up to the schedule release. So we get word of that, tweet it out. I say, let speculation begin. Jeremy is talking about, I think it's going to be Cincinnati Bengals at Bills on Sunday night. Or someone else said, I think, I'm like, okay, Ravens at Bills sounds good to me, right? I don't know. But we all think Sunday Night Football week 1 is kind of where this is trending. It doesn't have to be. It could be a Sunday night game on Thanksgiving weekend or Christmas weekend. It could be a Sunday night game in the middle of the season, but maybe a marquee matchup that they're promoting with Josh Allen. Okay, so later in the day, I got word that it is not 100% certain that Josh is going on the Today Show.
Oh.
So even though they did tease that is what they did. They did do that. That they are hoping to get him, and because he's in New York for something. But anyway, I guess what I want people to know is like that was said, and maybe they shouldn't have said it. You know what I mean? Because I think they're trying to or hoping to. We can still connect dots, though, right? I think we can. I'm not really sure. Like that, maybe that means the Bills are still going to be like. Why would they do that if they don't want Josh Allen? If he's not going to be on, I don't know. If they're even thinking about having him, I guess. That's the way I look at it. Who knows? Maybe they want him on because he's in New York for sinners, right? I have no idea if that's the case, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm going to present to you another opponent, and Danger actually sold me on this one because if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you can't open in Philadelphia because they're not on their schedule. They don't feel like a Monday night game. Sure, they could put them on 425. Sal, could I interest you in an AFC championship rematch on Sunday Night Football to open the season?
I just think that's a game we need to play later. You know? You could interest me. I'm right there with you, but with the marquee matchup. Look, if I'm NBC, Jeremy and I debated this morning a little bit of this in a different way, but if I'm NBC, I know I don't get the Eagles because they're going to open up on Thursday, so now I get a chance. If you said, okay, the Bills are going to open up Sunday Night Football week 1, how are you ranking their opponents to do that with? Is it with Chiefs, Ravens, and Bengals? How are you ranking them?
Ooh, 1A, 1B, 1C.
Yeah,
I mean,
in that order.
Sign me up for any of them, yeah.
So Jeremy thinks the Bengals is like the hot matchup that they should have with Joe Burrow and all that. I'm kind of disagreeing. I think it's Lamar and the Ravens. I think that would be the divisional round matchup. You have the two guys who won the MVP the last 2 years. The Ravens are a hot team. I'm not disagreeing with you about the Chiefs. 100%, you're right that would be a great matchup. It just feels like that should be a game that maybe you play a little bit later in the season, in the middle of the season or in November or something like that.
I love the NFL, and I get a sense that they want as big a number as they can get on Thursday and Sunday night. I mean, it just feels like if you had a rematch of the NFC Championship to kick off the season on Thursday night and a rematch of the AFC Championship on Sunday night, you'd have a pretty happy TV partner in Peacock.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Bills are going to be featured a lot of places anyway. They're going to be featured on NBC, CBS, Peacock, Fox, right? I think the big question for me is that they play on Christmas. You know, there's been a lot of smoke about that. I don't know. I would tell you that as about a week ago, I was very hot on the Bills playing on Christmas. That I was like, okay, I think this is happening. Now we are here. I think I'm way less hot on that. That I don't know. I like Mike North isn't telling me the schedule, as you said, but I do talk to people, and people give me their opinions about things they hear, and who knows who hears what that's wrong or right or whatever. But I would say that I have definitely shifted on from way in on them playing on Christmas to maybe not playing on Christmas from last week to now.
Yeah, so just to kind of refresh the rules here, how many times can the Bills or any team, what's the max number they can be in prime time? Part 2 of this, Sal, is it correct that even though the nation would all be watching on Christmas Day at 4:25, or for that matter, any other that's not considered a prime time game, correct?
Basically, right. It's so funny. It's like what the definition has changed over the years because there's so many of these platforms and ways to kind of count it. So I believe it's a good question. Actually, we didn't ask Mike this year on the pod, but we did in years past. And I believe what he said on the pod in years past was you can schedule for 5, but then you can also get flexed into another one. We've given you 6. It might actually even be scheduled for 6 now because of the extra game and then get flexed into a 7. That might actually be the case. But you're right when it comes to, if you're playing on like if you're playing on a Thanksgiving or Christmas, that's not. But I do think the night game on Thanksgiving counts, and like it would be the prime time on Christmas would count. There's a lot of different rules about this and how it does count, how it doesn't. You're right. Here's one I thought of today, and I haven't. This is the first time I'm saying this, guys. I actually texted this to Matt Bove today, but I'm going to say it on the air for the first time. I just went on WGR and I didn't even say this, and so you're hearing this for the first time. Have we given enough thought to maybe the Bills playing on Saturday night on Christmas weekend instead of Christmas Day or Christmas night? Because that weekend the NFL has games.
Mm-hmm. Huh. How do they send off the stadium as well?
Right.
I mean,
that would be it. To me, that's a captive audience, right? Like you might want for the last regular season game. Okay, so Mike North did say, though, he kind of indicated they're not really too concerned about like the Bills in the last year of their stadium. The first year of the new stadium is much more higher on like their list of what they think about.
Sure. Okay. I'm also thinking about international games, Sal. I mean, I know Pittsburgh's hosting the game in Ireland. We don't know who their opponent will be until we get the schedule release. Are you hearing anything about the Bills traveling international? I know you're not going to tell us that you know where they're going to be. What's
I've
the
heard
likelihood?
Right about. Yeah, I think at this point it seems less likely because the report today, I don't know if you guys saw it, was that the league might send the Vikings over to Ireland and then do back-to-back with them also going to London. That would take care of 2 of those games.
Oh, wow.
Because the Bills could potentially also be a team that could play in London against the Browns. They have them on their schedule. They could go to London and play the Jets. But, that's a division game. It's unlikely. The report today is, someone had this, that the league might send the Vikings to Dublin to play the Steelers and then back-to-back London to play the Browns the week after that. And if that's the case, obviously it won't be the Bills. I believe it. I think the way the league is trending, they basically said, we're going to start doing this with teams. We want to see how it impacts everybody and their bodies and their schedules and travel. It's kind of like, experimentation on how this all goes. But they started doing that a couple years ago with the Jags. We know that. The Bills were one of those games. So I do think that it is very possible that happens.
Sal Capaccio, WGR Buffalo Bills sideline reporter in the Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast. Before we ask you about minicamp, can I just say, and if we're doing a kangaroo court, can we fine Bove for not knowing who Ricky Waters was?
Disgraceful.
I have a tough time deciding if that is, as you say, disgraceful or I'm just getting old and I should accept it.
Well, we are old. I mean, we all recognize that we're up there, and I don't know how much younger Bove is than us, but not knowing Vision, knowing Vision Quest.
I know he's in his early 30s though, right? Like, I'm I just turned 52. I'm 2 decades older than him.
Sal, we
right?
Men of our age, I think it's partially our duty to be educators. We've got wisdom.
Yeah,
We've got life experience.
I agree.
And he needs to understand the importance. If Vision Quest is coming up in conversation with Sean McDermott, you can't not know about Vision Quest.
I kind of agree, but I'm thinking there's got to be some movies from like the late 60s that if someone said to me, hey, you know that movie? And I'd be like, not really. They'd be like, what are you talking about? I mean, Vision Quest was the mid to late 80s. Like that, it's a wrestling movie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Madonna. It's our time period, right? I get all that. But for Matt Bove, I mean, he's like, I don't know. I mean, I started listening to music in the 90s, dude.
But then Ricky Waters. I'm glad that, that came up. Danger, he had
Am I right? You agree with me?
1,000-yard seasons, 3 different teams. Do I agree with you on Ricky Waters or agree about the slight
You agree with me that Ricky Waters is absolutely a Hall of Fame snub.
100%. He's the forgotten guy, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like 3 different franchises.
Apparently, the reason is because he has that famous quote, "For who or for what?" Is that from him or was that from Vision Quest? People were tweeting me about all of this at once. Ricky Waters apparently was like, people hold it against him that he basically said, like, he doesn't play the game because he loves it or something like that. Like, there's some sort of, and that's being held against him about getting the Hall of Fame. Either way, I don't care. Look at the numbers. Ricky Waters deserves to be in. That's why I believe. But as we go farther away, he doesn't have as much of a case because so many guys keep playing.
Yeah.
You go back and look at one time, it was like, I'm not kidding. I think the names were Marcus Allen, Walter Payton, Thurman Thomas, and Ricky Waters, the only guys that had like X number of rushing yards and X number of receiving yards throughout the history of the league at one time.
Yeah, he was somebody that revolutionized. I mean, you go Roger Craig before him, but I mean, he just passed the baton to Ricky Waters, and he continued to do what he did in that Bill Walsh offense. All right, Sal, rookie minicamp. How the young pups looking? Your first glimpse of them today?
Yeah, I mean, what do you go out there and you try to kind of get a little bit of sense of what these guys are about, how they look. They're not doing everything football and not hitting each other. But some guys just jump off the page with their size, their athleticism. I mean, Landon Jackson, the defensive end, he's massive. And, you're seeing him on the edge there, and you're like, okay, like that guy has a presence about him. He looks like an NFL dude. And then you watch Max Harrison, and I tweeted out a video, 2 of them. Max Harrison, he's changing direction, flipping his hips, the way he can kind of, just start and stop and accelerate. You can tell why he's a first-round pick. I mean, look, these are the best athletes in the world. And when you're talking about a guy who runs a sub-4.3 40 and being picked in the first round of the NFL draft, he should look different than everybody. So when you go out there and you see it, you're like, okay, now I totally understand and see why, he was. And some of that definitely was out there today. Caden Prather, 7th-round wide receiver, doing a really good job today, catching the ball, getting open. But so was Jackson Hawes, who's I don't think going to catch many passes at all for the Bills actually in the regular season. He's a blocking tight end. It is important to remember. I mean, I tweeted out about Jackson Hawes and, Caden Prather, and people, oh, yeah, these guys, they could be fines and steals. And that's great. I know fans want to be fans and absorb it. Let's remember, during rookie minicamp, these guys are going to get more opportunity than most guys because it's really the only chance for them to get all of those reps compared to when the veterans are with them. So you might as well start feeding them the ball and making sure that you can get all of that in before they can't get that anymore.
Sal, last one for me because before we know it, we'll be all back at camp at Fisher here. What's the camp battle in terms of jobs? Are you most interested in? Is it defensive line or something else?
It's corner for me. I don't think that Max Harrison is an automatic start. I mean, Kyrie Elam wasn't. And I don't want to compare Max Harrison to Kyrie Elam, but, Christian Benford came in and he looked more like the first-round pick and Elam looked like the 6th-round pick. You just never know. I think what's going to happen is, going back to Tre'Davious White in that conversation, I think Tre'Davious White is going to put up a fight here. Now, I don't know about the injury, right? And I think that he's fine because we saw him play last year in Baltimore, and he actually played. And I talked to a guy from Baltimore on the radio a couple weeks ago who said, yeah, Trey was fine. He wasn't horrible. He wasn't great, but he was fine. And I think if Tre'Davious White can just be a real good baseline floor for what the Bills are hoping to get out of a veteran, I think he has a chance here, but Max Harrison's certainly going to get the runway. He's going to get the runway to win the job, but he's got to win it. They're not just going to hand it to him. And if not, you got Trey White sitting there like, okay, well, you turn to Trey White and you could do a lot worse than that as a starter, I think the Bills would feel. So that's there. I think Dane Jackson obviously is being a guy that kind of figures in there a little bit, but I think that's going to be an interesting spot. Jordan Hancock, Dorian Strong, Virginia Tech draft pick. Like, this guy looks like an outside NFL corner today. And, like, when you go out there, again, another guy, you're like, okay, like, you can see he's just different than other guys. So I think there's going to be a good battle there.
I know he's not a rookie, but he's compelling in my eyes because of his story into Buffalo. What are your thoughts on Forrest there in the secondary?
My thought is he's here to play a special teams role and be a backup safety in a pinch when they need him. I believe the Bills are all in on Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop.
Okay. They
have to show it. They have to prove it. Taylor Rapp for sure. I have this battle with fans all the time because I think there's this notion from fans that Taylor Rapp is not a good football player. He's hurt a lot. Look, I know he's had some injuries. You can think that. I've no doubt. Like, whatever. Fans can have whatever opinion they want. Of course, anybody can. But I will tell you from the Bills' perspective, they love Taylor Rapp. Like, he is their starting safety and the number one because Sean McDermott basically said he's the Terrell Bernard of the secondary to us at the owners' meetings. Like, the way he sets the secondary, that is so valuable. So he's a starter. Cole Bishop's got to show and earn that job. And then to me, Damar Hamlin is, okay, fringe player. Is he going to make the roster? Special teams, backup. He did start a lot last year, but they're not paying him a lot of money. And I think Derek Forrest is more of the, okay, special teams guy who can really bring it. And if we have to play, and you never know, maybe he gets to a spot where we need to put him on the field in some situations. You also have Cam Lewis and the new Jordan Hancock, who are kind of the same player, to be honest with you. They both play nickel. They both play safety. They'll figure out maybe which one belongs where. And maybe instead of Cam Lewis being a main backup nickel who can play safety, or a main safety who can play backup nickel, maybe you just leave him in one spot and Jordan Hancock does the other.
Sal, time flies. You know, next week will mark 2 years since you did your show here at the Fan Rochester studio.
PGA Championship week.
Did that come up on your Facebook memories or something?
No, we're just talking about, like, okay, we're so provincial. You think you're provincial in Buffalo? No. We are the king of provincial here in Rochester, and we keep waiting for the next announcement of where, are we going to get this in 2033? And then we just look at the forecast here, and it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is going to be kind of something if it does come back in May. Always a little dicey here.
Well, maybe we'll have to do it again, sometime around training camp, or you never know, maybe before that. Come on up there and do another show from your studios and talk football.
Yeah. Don't be a stranger, Sal. Appreciate the time and all the work you're putting in at WGR. And, of course, it's always Game Day in Buffalo, an unbelievable listen with head coach Sean McDermott. Great job, bud.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you. Have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to everybody out there.
You got it. Sal Capaccio, WGR. It's always Game Day in Buffalo, covering the Buffalo Bills. Sideline reporter for the Bills Radio Network as well. Some good insight there. I like what he said about safety. And the Taylor Rapp thing is funny to me. Like, you could say Rapp is injured often. You could say Rapp isn't that good. What I see with Rapp is just hustle. A guy that just throws himself into the play or will track down. So, like he was single-handedly responsible for keeping points off the board in multiple games last year. And if you're Sean McDermott, you know that that's his catnip. You know that he loves that guy.
Can I translate the Today Show and their misstep here?
Go ahead.
They don't tease Josh Allen coming on the show unless they're 100% that Josh Allen is coming on the show. Can we agree on that?
I mean, it would be clumsy for them to tease something and then not deliver on the tease.
Correct. So you can book the guest. But that's different than teasing the guest. Does the NFL want it tipped that, hey, Josh Allen is going to reveal something coming up on Monday?
Yeah, right. So
that's the NFL saying, no.
Yeah, the NFL's telling him to shut up.
Shush.
You can tease, but don't. What are you doing? That's supposed to be a surprise on Monday morning, right? Not only are we going to tell you who's kicking off on Thursday night, but here's Josh Allen to tell you about our Sunday night game. That's a big deal.
Boy, though.
That gets people talking.
Kansas City, if I had to rank them, Danger, I would put Kansas City 1, Baltimore just a half step behind, because just to get the two MVPs going head-to-head, and then Cincinnati. And I wouldn't be upset if it's Cincinnati.
I wouldn't be upset if it's Cincinnati, and I would prefer it to be Cincinnati for the sake of the Bills' schedule, because Cincinnati early in the seaison is bad and better for the Bills than Cincinnati later in the season. But I could make the same argument about the Chiefs. Like, I just think the Chiefs would be a wildly entertaining game. And if you're the NFL and you want the biggest number possible week one and you want to be able to tout that big number in your primetime games, why wouldn't you do a rematch of the NFC Championship on Thursday and the AFC Championship on Sunday night?
They have opened with the Chiefs how many years? Like, I'd have to look up the last time the Chiefs were actually on the road. And they're going on the road, I would think, week one.
Yeah, for sure.
Send them to Buffalo.
That's your punishment for laying down in the Super Bowl. Hit the road, Kansas City. We're going to take a break. Happy hour is right around the corner. We have time for your calls, 866-4FAN. What about you?
Is Taylor Swift touring this summer?
Oh, boy.
No, I'm asking honestly.
I don't think so. Okay. I think she's counting her billions.
She's not coming back here, though, under any circumstance.
Maybe when the new stadium opens up.
I'm not holding my breath.
If he's still playing.
I doubt it.
866-4326. Who do you want to see the Bills? I mean, if this is to be believed, and there's going to be a big announcement for the schedule and revolving around the Bills in Week 1 on the Today Show on Monday, who's your options? Who do you want to see the Bills playing? And Bills rookie minicamp, we'll dissect some of what Sal had to share about that as well. Lots to get to here, lots to unpack. Your calls are welcome at 866-4326-585, 866-4FAN.
and AM 950 The Fan Rochester weekday mornings. And start your day with enough sports chatter to make your coffee look like a sleepy time tea. WROC AM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester. Sports Update.
Still waiting. Wednesday, game one between Rochester and Laval. The goaltender we're all looking for, Devin Levi, talking about this matchup.
This is going to be a whole new beast that we're going to be facing. Fight one's done. Let's get ready for fight two. And it's fun. I'm looking forward to it. They're a good team. Obviously, they finished first in the league, but it doesn't really matter. It's playoffs.
We'll have all the action beginning Wednesday here on the Fan Rochester. Bills rookie camp beginning today. Baseball tonight for the Rochester Red Wings, continuing their series in Scranton. Last night rained out. That will not be made up. The game canceled altogether. Yankees for the first time tonight playing in West Sacramento against the Athletics. The Mets hosting the Cubs. Red Sox in Kansas City. Knicks and Celtics game 3 tomorrow at the Garden. Gene Battaglia, sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
It's rookie minicamp, people. Woo-hoo. Players are on the field. The new league year is upon us.
They can't come out with a schedule until we know what Aaron Rodgers is doing.
Pope Leo announcing that he is actually a White Sox fan.
Yes! Jordan Hudson is welcome at the football facilities. Pablo Torre had reported on his podcast that she was banned.
I'm not talking about this.
Mike Danger.
It's all going our way.
Gene Battaglia.
Is this a sign from above?
T-Wolves ripped the Warriors 117-93, even the series had won.
Besides Draymond Green, I was not chanting Draymond sucks.
Game 2 to Edmonton. Final 5-4 in overtime.
And good night, Carolina. We are all square heading to the Tar Heel State.
To all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
I obviously am not going to have an issue with Pope Leo the 14th. Leo specifically. Because he's Italian. But what's wrong with Pope Bob? Like, Pope Bob would have been kind of fun. I mean, we're first American Pope. If we're breaking tradition, let's go ahead and make him Pope Bob. Use his real name.
Yeah, I'd have to research that. Like, why do popes take on different names?
I should know. I mean, as somebody who went to Catholic school for 9 years.
It has to be you're taking the name of a saint,
right? Saint Leo, though?
Well, I thought you were going to go with this, like that little soundbite, and Dan always puts together a good montage. Pope Leo never said he was a White Sox fan. His brother clarified a report that he's a Cubs fan. So Pope Leo is not weighing in on baseball. I think he's got other things on his mind.
Yeah, we don't really need – I mean, the memes can keep coming. I love them. All the AI-generated video of the Pope saying that Green Bay sucks. I mean, I'm just eating it up. I can't get enough of it. I'm still kind of riding high. And if you're an Amerks fan, you got to feel good. You got to feel like you have a little divine intervention when they name the Pope Leo, the same nickname as your head coach in his rookie year coaching the Amerks.
There's only a few shows that you and I watch to get not together, but like we watch it and then we come back like, oh yeah.
Don't talk about that. I mean, that one time when our hands touched in the popcorn bucket at the same time, Gene, I know it made you uncomfortable, but I felt a spark.
The Bear being one of those shows.
Yes.
Does the Bear now? When does that come out again? The new season or part 2 of the last season, whatever they're going to call it. Do they somehow work in the Pope? They would have to, right? If it's a Chicago-based show.
Like, got a picture of the Pope hanging up inside the restaurant. Yeah, I'm not sure. I should know when they're going to wrap up season 3 or when they're going to give us the second half of season 3. I should be a better fan. I love the show, not just because it's based in Chicago. I just think it's a fantastic show. I'm kind of knee-deep in Andor right now. I'm sorry, Gene.
Nerd!
That's your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you watching with girls or just by yourself?
Both. Mm-hmm. They're catching up. I watched all of season 1. In getting into season 2, they're catching up. So I'm watching season 1 a second time with them while also simultaneously watching season 2. Is that poor form? Does that feel like you're you're cheating your kids, or you're cheating on your.
Yeah.
You need to wait for them. I need to wait for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can wait for them.
Selfish. I think it's a bad move.
Hey, talking about TV, today's show, we had a little bit of a slip.
Yeah. So credit Sal and his buddy there, Patrick Hammer, who knew? I guess they teased this on the Today Show that, hey, coming up Monday, Josh Allen will join us. Like, oh, why is Josh Allen going on? Now, you don't normally go on these shows unless you have something to promote. What could Josh Allen be promoting? Is he promoting his fiance's new movie? I don't think that's the case. Oh, wait. Monday's the day that NBC is permitted to leak a game or two on what they'll be carrying on the NFL schedule in order to get you excited for the actual schedule list that's been coming up Wednesday night. All the networks are allowed to do this. Fox will have their reveal. ABC, Disney with ESPN, they'll all do it. I think even Netflix gets to kind of reveal at some point. Well, now all of a sudden, Josh Allen is not exactly confirmed for Monday. Oh, okay.
Convenient.
Yeah.
He's there, and he's going to announce the Bills on Sunday Night Football Week 1. We're convinced, right? Has to be.
Now that I'm thinking this through, is he announcing that it's against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? Because if you're the Chiefs, are you offended that Josh Allen gets to announce this? To me, it feels more like Baltimore. If I had to rank the likely scenarios, I think Baltimore is the top here.
Josh Allen's the MVP. Why would anybody in Kansas City be offended?
Because they
beat the Bills?
Yeah, when you want your guy there on announcing.
I mean, I suppose, except it would be a home game for the Bills. And he is the MVP. And his fiance is the one that stars in the movie that everybody's talking about, and Brittany's just kind of thirsty on, social media. I'm convinced. I want it to be the Chiefs. I think it would be great if it was the Chiefs. I think the NFL would be foolish if they did anything but give us rematches of the NFC and AFC championship games on Thursday night and Sunday night. I don't make the schedule. I don't have insight as to how the schedule gets made, so I can't predict that, but that's what I would love to see.
Oh, the Eagles, I'm not picky. If you give me Dallas, I'll be excited. If you give me Detroit, the Rams, like opening night you're watching regardless, of course, but like the Eagles have a loaded home schedule. That's not an easy one to kind of predict.
Give me Eagles-Washington. I would love Eagles-Washington.
Give me Eagles-Lions, and how do the Lions look without their two? I mean, I'm trying to think of teams that I want to see. Wouldn't mind watching Washington either. Again, you can't sway me and say not Raiders. No, I think I'm good on that.
Yeah. And then as far as the Bills go, if they are indeed going to be Week 1 Sunday night hosting Sunday Night Football from Buffalo, I mean, I would rank it Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals. Those would be my three in order of preference.
I put the Ravens at the top there. Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals, because for whatever reason, the NFL has held back on Bills Chiefs over the last few years. They don't want to put it Week 1 or Week 2.
Yeah.
You want to put that in whatever the October sweeps are.
When you know what both teams are and they're both jockeying for playoff positioning. I wouldn't be upset if it was the Bengals, because early season Bengals, as we know, not the same as late season Bengals, and you might be able to catch them napping a little bit.
It can't be anything else. It can't be Philadelphia because they're opening up on Thursday. Tampa,
that feels like a Monday night game.
Division, no. No Dolphins, no Jets. When Diggs comes back, sure, that's interesting, but I don't think he's going to be healthy Week 1.
Diggs coming back feels like that would be a Thursday night Amazon Prime.
Maybe a Monday night game.
Yeah. Monday night or a Thursday night game. That's what that feels like. That, oh, hey, the Patriots are new and exciting, and this is our first chance to see Steph Diggs and Matt Collins and their return to Buffalo. That feels like a prime Thursday night prime game.
866-4FAN, 866-4326. Brad in Rochester. What's up, Brad?
Hey, you got to understand, CBS does not let go of Chiefs Bills. They begged, borrowed, and stole to make sure they had it last year. They're going to beg, borrow, and steal to have it this year. That's the simple thing they've done every year. We got to have that for that 4:25 window wherever it's being played. So it's got to be Ravens or Bengals.
I would say, Brad, that's not an every year thing. There was a Sunday night game where there was a lightning delay.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and it took forever, and the Bills actually won that game. When was that, 21?
And I hear what you're saying. I mean, CBS will beg, borrow, and steal, but the CBS is no longer one of the 3 partners that the NFL has to satisfy. I mean, they have to satisfy Netflix. They have to satisfy Prime. I mean, making the schedule is getting harder and harder, and so you're going to make less concessions for your partners and just say, here's what we got. You know, and the NFL has to sell it to their partners as well. So I don't know. That's my order of preference. I would love that to be the case, that it's Kansas City week 1, more so than Baltimore, more so than Cincinnati. I wouldn't be upset at any of those matchups. I wouldn't be upset at a week 1 Sunday night football kickoff in Buffalo. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Just hopping in. Welcome. Sports Bar, Danger Battaglia. Sal Capaccio was on with us earlier. Josh Allen's going on NBC's Today Show, and you're connecting dots here that would lead you to believe that he's there to announce. You can't assume it's week 1. Maybe it's like, we're going to announce the week 5 Chiefs.
Or Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving night, right? Yeah, that's also a possibility. There's one thing that Sal mentioned, and I'm just going to come out with my take right off the bat, and I don't know if they're going to be – it's not a bold take because who's going to disagree with me on this? I do not want the Bills on Christmas Day. I'm sorry. I know some people would love to gather around with a family and watch that. I want no part of that. Put the Bills somewhere else. Sal brought up an interesting point that, hey, maybe you make that a standalone game. Who knew, Danger, that there's going to be a Saturday night primetime game on that same week? So think of it this way. You've got the Thursday football. You're going to have Sunday and Monday, but you're also going to have a primetime game on Saturday. Move it there for home.
The 27th, yeah. Christmas falling on a Thursday. You'll have the triple header there on Christmas. Nothing on Friday?
I don't think we'll have Black Friday, Thanksgiving weekend. Which
they did a Black Friday game last year. No, I'm sorry, Black Friday. I'm thinking the Boxing Day here. The 26th is the day after Christmas, Boxing Day. So maybe nothing on that Friday, but that Saturday we'll have a primetime game, the 27th. Interesting. I mean, I think that would be a nice concession for Bills fans that maybe Bills media, I should say, that don't want to have to work on Christmas Day. I think fans will go on Christmas Day. It doesn't matter. Like, we're going to the game. We're going. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. We're going to the game. And you're talking about one of the last games, regular season games, at Highmark Stadium as well. So, well, we'll find out everything on Wednesday as the schedule gets released by the NFL. But before then, little morsel. Sal also believing that the Bills in Ireland not as likely to happen in the report that was out earlier that maybe it's the Vikings taking on the Steelers and staying there to take on a team like the Browns in London.
If
the NFL is doing that.
Yeah, let's think that through.
Yeah.
Is that good for the Vikings that their 2 road opponents are actually going to be neutral site games? Or is it bad knowing that, hey, it is taxing when you're going from country? I think it's bad for the Vikings.
I think what the NFL is doing here is testing the boundaries. They're seeing the limits. How far can we push this? Can we have longer stretches of games internationally? Games that matter with teams that we want to showcase across the pond. I think they're testing their limits. We have sports science to back up this and sports science to back up that. And I know when we had Mia on with us yesterday out of Jacksonville, Mia O'Brien telling us, like, look, unless Elon or
whoever, Bezos,
if they come up with a way to get across the pond in a couple of hours, unless that happens, not likely to happen that you're going to see teams in Europe. But it feels like they're testing their boundaries, doesn't it?
Well, they will get to an 18-game regular season.
For sure.
Either that's going to be 19 or 20 weeks, and when you do, well, that's going to every team is going to be playing a game outside the borders.
Correct.
So this is just
they're testing their limit. It'll get to that, and then when it gets to that, they'll test it even more, and eventually you could. I mean, who knows? Who knows what the future looks like 10 years from now, 5 years from now, and how many games they're playing overseas and whether or not there's actually a team overseas. Be fascinating.
Or does the thing take its course? Meaning that wherever they go, okay, it's always presented well and full crowds and everything else. Are we going to get to a point where, This didn't sell out here.
No.
Or whatever.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. They can't lose. They're built not to lose. Even when things are bad and you think that they're losing, they're not losing. How are the people in 2016 that said they were done with the NFL? Are they still done with the NFL? Is the NFL, are they still feeling the effects of Colin Kaepernick taking a knee? I think they're fine. I think they're going to be fine.
Forgot all that happened.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Great conversation earlier with Patrick Williams as well. He covers the AHL at AHL.com and NHL.com. And he kind of gave us a lay of the land here as far as the remaining teams in the Calder Cup playoffs.
Yeah, I just asked him straightforward. Give me the top, because if I asked you, Danger, or if you asked me, okay, Gene, put on the spot here. Your top 3 Stanley Cup contenders, go. All right, Dallas, I would say, because I like their path, I like their team. Give me Edmonton and give me Toronto. And we could debate that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ask the same question. It was no hesitation. Hershey, because of the 2-time champs. Hard to argue that. Laval. Well, it is the best division, Mike Danger, and they were the champs in the regular season in the best division. And then the team in the other conference he identified as being the best is Milwaukee, even though they're a little on the ropes right now. So the idea that the Amherst weren't mentioned in the top 3, does that offend you?
Doesn't offend me. Absolutely not. I think the Amherst have to show that they can be one of those teams that play in the finals. They haven't made it there yet. We've seen what they can do against Laval. They've gotten to the Eastern Conference final. They haven't gotten to the Calder Cup final in how many years? What was the last time? Do we remember? Was it 96?
96,
yeah.
Danger, 96.
They won it all. So I think that I'm not offended that they have to put up or shut up. They have to show up. They got to take care of Laval. They've gotten bounced by Laval in the past. So, but nice to get a little color. Learn more about Laval. Learn more about the remaining teams in the AHL.
Well, and this was interesting too because fun-spirited debate, and learning this. Wait a second, this report in the Montreal Gazette. It's kind of cool that all right, they're writing a little bit about this matchup in advance, and their headline is that Devin Levi, their hometown hero, is coming to face the Laval Rocket, right? And there's one line in here because it is a story. The layoff, highly unusual. The format, highly unusual. 2-3. Well, come to find out, there is a rule in the American Hockey League that, or maybe not, it's not even a rule. The teams could have decided on a different format. And Laval wanted to go 2-2-1, and the Amherst said no. And the best explanation I heard from Patrick Williams was this: gamesmanship. Yeah. No, you know what? You want that? No, we're going to do it this way.
Which I don't understand. Laval is the 1 seed. I'm not complaining, but Laval is the 1 seed. You would think they would have right of first refusal.
It's ludicrous to me. If I'm up there, I'm like, what are we doing with this? What do we? Why do they get to kind of dictate what the format would be?
Right. When you hear that, you think it's an unserious league. I know that they're in this to make money, and that's really what it all comes down to. And Patrick kind of explained that this is about making money. This is about trying to get a league to be more profitable than it is. And I just don't understand how Laval wouldn't have the first right of refusal as far as what format they wanted this series to be in. If it was indeed an option, and if it's not actual policy like we thought it was, that if you're playing outside of a 100-mile radius, you're going with the 2-3 format in a best of 5.
Have we ever heard anything like this?
Nothing.
Where the teams are debating what type of format?
Nothing.
It's crazy. And, I kind of like it. I kind of
have
like
it
what
in
the
beer
Amherst
league
is.
hockey doesn't even let you dictate those terms. What are we talking about here? It's an unserious league, if that's true.
Who is the commissioner in this league? Why do you have this rule this way?
Right. We go to the commissioner of the AHL on the postseason formatting of best of 5 series. An absolute clown show.
Scott Housen is the commissioner, whoever that is. That all being said, I kind of like it, Danger. I kind of like the fact that the Amherst are saying, you know what? We're going to start here, and we're going to put you on your heels. And then if we're going to take both these games, and we're going to put you in a vice. How do you like that? And if the plan goes according to it, what's even more crazy, the Amherst would get 2 gates compared to 1 for Laval.
So they could win the series and make more money.
Make more money.
Yeah. Stay down.
Stay down.
Oh, it's going to be great. Wednesday night, game 1. You'll hear it on the Fan Rochester. We encourage you to go to Blue Cross Arena, support the Rochester Americans here on their Calder Cup playoff run. Gino and I will be live from the upper atrium at Blue Cross Arena on Friday night, a week from tonight. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to bringing my little one. I think I tarnished my older daughter after we went to the playoffs last year. She didn't like some of the things I was shouting at the referees and the Syracuse Crunch.
You were so colorful. It was getting laughs from everybody. The girls loved it. Your wife, not so much.
I was the polite heckler.
And I didn't big time your wife. I was just so angry. And so my whole family was like, I'm not watching the Crunch here.
Yeah.
Skate around our ice.
Yeah, we had to get out of there fast.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. That's going to be Friday night. We're going to be after hours as well from 3 until 7 next Friday night from Blue Cross Arena in advance of Game 2, the best-of-5 series. The Amerks and Laval, your proud home of Rochester Americans hockey, the Fan Rochester.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. You know what's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow? Give me the Knicks and Celtics, Mike Danger. Bring it to me now. I know we've got a couple games tonight. Indiana, Cleveland. Boy, can you imagine if the Cavs lose this one? Indiana's home there. We get OKC, Denver tonight once again. Yeah.
It's Mother's Day, too, by the way. Continuous negotiation, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Continuous negotiation.
Speaking of Mother's Day, that's the one game I'm not going to watch for the Mets this year. Couple of reasons. One, it's Cubs-Mets on Mother's Day, but first pitch is at noon. Why? Oh, yeah. It's the Roku game. We start this nonsense again. Roku.
Uh-huh.
How many people actually know where you do?
I have Roku streaming sticks.
Okay.
I don't know if that means I get the Roku games. I think it does. I'll check it out. I'll report back on.
Okay.
That's unbelievable. The Roku games. We're just giving games to whoever wants them.
Is Roku free? I don't even know.
CW Rochester. Well, they do get games, but no, who are we giving games to? Who else gets games?
Oh, gosh. You have, tonight you have the 2 Apple games.
Yeah. The Hallmark Channel.
Oh, I see.
Has a game. We're just giving out games. We don't care. Animal Planet tonight. Mets and Cubs.
True TV.
Let's get to a round of shots next.
Yeah, it will set you up for the weekend in sports, which should be a lot of fun. And look, we haven't talked at all about this. If I said something ludicrous, Danger, what would your response be? Absolutely, that's not true. Mike Danger, are you an alien?
Not the last time I checked. That is not true.
Okay. Mike Danger, is your wife barred from this building?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
She may not be as present as some would like, but she's
not the direction I wanted to go. But my gosh, why is North Carolina even putting a statement about this?
We haven't talked about Jordan yet.
Holy cow, this report from Pablo Torre.
Yeah.
There is so much in here.
Yeah, we got to get to that.
Oh, wow.
All right, we'll get to that, and we'll bring the maturity level down a notch or 12. A round of shots coming up. We have last call before 6 o'clock as well. You can have the final word in the sports bar at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Sports Update.
Today for the rookies to get acquainted here with pro football. Bills rookie minicamp beginning. Max Harrison, the top overall pick, has got a positive attitude.
I'm enjoying it, just taking it all in, realizing that I'm back at level 1 and just embracing that, being somebody that I'm just eager to learn, I'm eager to get better, and, just excited to keep going out there and practicing.
Baseball this weekend. Rochester Red Wings continuing their series in Scranton. Last night was a rainout. That's not going to be made up. They're canceling that game altogether. The Yankees, for the first time tonight, playing West Sacramento. The Athletics, the opponent, the Mets, hosting the Cubs. The Boston Red Sox opening a series in Kansas City. NBA tonight, there are 2 games, including Cleveland, Indiana. Game 3 of Knicks Celtics tomorrow. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Odyssey is your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
We mentioned the AHL, an unserious league earlier with all these layoffs and the playoff formats and the policy that isn't really policy. How does AAA baseball just say, you know what, yeah, we're canceling a game. One less game, not going to matter. What difference does it make?
I have to figure out, why wouldn't they play a double header? Like tomorrow. Why wouldn't they make that up in the second half unless it's that first half, second half cockamamie thing?
But even then, it's you're a game short. You have two teams that'll be a game short in the first half of the season.
Right.
What are we doing?
Right. It's not
canceling
serious.
games.
It's not serious. We're the Red Wings aren't the only ones. Like, we have alternate identities and fun uniforms and eat the food and we'll make money that way. And then the baseball, it is what it is. Yeah.
All right, back to the AHL. A round of shots in the sports bar.
Yeah, where the American Hockey League, talk about unserious leagues, had the Amherst hanging with a 13-day break. The NHL postseason actually goes every other night. Toronto with a golden opportunity to put Florida in a vice here. The Leafs up 2-0 on the road tonight at Florida, 7 o'clock on TNT. That's going to be followed up by Stars and Jets. Dallas took game 1 of that series.
Great series. Both of them are going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think the Jets can rebound at home tonight to even up that series. And, man, I'd be shocked if the Leafs can go up 3-0 on the defending champs. I mean, that again, how much pressure would be on Toronto then to finally get over, to finally, exercise some postseason demons. Just great drama here in the Stanley Cup final.
So, like the Leafs, the Pacers and Knicks licking their chops here. First, the Pacers back home. They're up 2-0 on the top seed in the East. Cleveland, 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN. That's going to be followed by Game 3, Denver OKC. That series tied at 1. 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a beautiful day here in the Flower City. Get your yard work done early, everyone, so you can tune in for Celtics Knicks, 3:30 on ABC. Boston trailing New York 2-0.
All right, so I got a little bit of a sense of urgency here. You're giving me a deadline, 3:30 tip. Am I watching Celtics Knicks in the garage by 3:30? I got to power wash the floor, got to clean the garage, got to get all the stuff out of the shed into the garage, all the stuff that's in the garage into the shed, and do the yard work and get it all done by 3:30. Gino, this is exactly the motivation I needed. Plus, we're hearing it's going to be a nice weekend.
Yeah, I would say
dry.
Think so. Never 100% sure. Can't power wash tonight, could you?
Ooh, do I get after it tonight? Right after the done in the. I mean, there was a part of me that was really looking forward to a nice little tumbler of bourbon and watching Cleveland and the Pacers. Maybe I get after it tonight, Gino.
Maybe Sandy makes the decision on that since it's her weekend.
What's going on this weekend?
I can't help you there.
Oh, it's Mother's Day weekend. Don't do the CVS flowers, guys.
No. Cubs and Mets highlighting your baseball this week, and be advised, this is the week that the Sunday Roku package starts. 12:05 Sunday for that first pitch. Rocco bringing in the voice of the Mets, Gary Cohen, and they're balancing it off with a former Cub, Joe Girardi, on the call.
Are they simulcasting that on TLC?
Tubi.
Are they simulcasting the game on Game Show Network? I don't know. C-SPAN. Who's getting that one? Where else can we put baseball games? The Roku Network. Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Xander Schauffele is the defending champ of the PGA Championship, which is actually next week. Wild to think that we're now 2 years removed from it being at Oak Hill. Schauffele loves cigars, and he's going to give all the former champs of this particular event a humidor filled with cigars at the upcoming dinner next week.
Classy guy. Real classy guy. I kind of like that. They don't talk about the menu at the PGA Championship for the defending champs the way they do at the Masters. Do they do the same thing? Is there a similar kind of thing, or does he just...
You would think, right? But maybe they just kind of have the dinner. But what makes the Masters unique is it's the former champ who picks the menu and everything else.
Quail Hollow this year for the PGA Championship.
And anytime they want to announce 2033 at Oak Hill, I'd be fine with that.
We get Koziel on next week.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
We're as they say, aphrodite.
All right, very good.
I'm just going to read the report from Pablo Torre.
Very good.
You chime in along the way, or you want to wait till the end? Hold your applause to the end.
Oh, I'll chime in.
Two sources at the University of North Carolina tell me that there has been a decision that was made last week by the higher-ups inside the athletic department that had hired Bill Belichick to be the highest-paid public employee, not just the coach in the state of North Carolina at $10 million a year. And that decision was that Jordan Hudson, she is no longer allowed in the football building. She is not allowed on the football field. Quote, "You don't think you'll be hearing much from Jordan moving forward."
Wow, that's from Pablo Torre, huh?
Oh, there's more.
Okay.
Bill Belichick's family is extraordinarily concerned by what has transpired. One Belichick family source told me there is deep worry for how detrimental Jordan can be, not just for North Carolina, but for Bill's legacy.
Oh, really?
Reputation, everything he has built and worked for over decades. The source adding, in fact, the family has been digging into Jordan Hudson as well.
Oh, boy. They're looking to assassinate some character here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, didn't North Carolina issue their own statement based off of this? I mean, this is great drama. What an unbelievable saga that all started just with the words, "We're not talking about that." Oh, really? We're not talking about that. Okay. I mean, I want to feel sympathy, but I feel zero sympathy for all parties involved.
Well, North Carolina has indeed put out a statement, but I would just, it's saying that she is welcome into football. Why would you even feel the need to put out a statement other than say this is totally false? Isn't that the play?
I think what they said in their statement that stood out to me was she is not an employee of the University of North Carolina. So North Carolina is making it known while she's not banned from the stadium, she's not banned from the facility, she's not an employee. So if she's walking around flexing thinking that she can conduct meetings with North Carolina employees, including Bill Belichick, the highest paid, that's where she's mistaken. But she's not banned. She's in charge of what they said, I believe, was Bill Belichick's personal brand.
While Jordan Hudson is not an employee at the University of or Carolina Athletics, she is welcome to the Carolina football facilities. Jordan will continue to manage all activities related to Coach Belichick's personal brands.
That's right.
Outside of his responsibilities for Carolina and the university.
That's really the fact that they led with that in their statement tells me all I need to know. Like, she's meddlesome, but she's not there. Like, they're laying it out where a little damage control, like we would never ban her because that would be a bad look, but also personal brand. She's in charge of Bill Belichick's personal brand, where a lot of us would be like, what the hell does that even mean? Like, Bill Belichick showing up on social media now is all because of Jordan Hudson. He wants nothing to do with social media. Well, she's in charge of his personal brand.
Yeah, this is now Torrey has come out.
Oh, it gets better and better.
It gets better. The University of North Carolina can choose to describe or change its position on Jordan Hudson's involvement however it wishes. Following the publication of our episode, we requested comment and filed dozens of FOIL requests that were not satisfied. We stand by the specific reporting in our episode, which came from the highest levels of the football program. It might have, but ultimately, if the president says no, we're gonna clean this up. You can't ban.
She's gonna be around, and she's gonna continue to do what she's been doing.
But there's part of the report that is not addressed here, which I find so interesting. That the Belichick family is digging into Jordan. How did Jordan? What is it? 8.5, 9 million worth of property. Where did that come from?
Right.
Her mother runs a porn shop in Provincetown.
Business must be great, Gino.
Is there old money in that family?
I don't know. Is she tapped into some of that Belichick fortune? I don't know. I mean, if you're a family member, you're concerned. And it's family. We really shouldn't be that invested. We shouldn't be digging into their personal family affairs. But
is it a con?
Oh, you think she's conning him?
It's just a big con. Like I can convince myself, like I'm, a
Whoa,
KGB spy here.
Is Jordan Hudson Bill's Mafia? Are we getting our revenge through back channels?
How did she? That's the part of the story I would want to know. How all of a sudden did she get all this property and this money?
I can't get enough. I hope we have an update for Monday. Give me an update for Monday. Tell me more about Jordan Hudson.
But why would North Carolina even put out a statement? You fools. All you have to say is, this is not true. The end.
I wonder if it's because of how much money he's making. And there's probably scrutiny that they've never seen before in terms of how much they're paying their head coach.
Well, right.
And all of the negative attention.
You are a public. Yeah, right.
Right. You got a lot of negative attention. Let's take a break. Come back. Last call on the way next. 866-4FAN. 866-4326.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. On 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester, is everywhere.
Welcome the arrival of spring at Market View Liquor's Spring Wine Sampling Event, Saturday, May 17th from 1 to 4 p.m. Sample over 75 wines, including rosé, white, sparkling, and lighter-bodied red wines. Don't miss it. Market View Liquor, Jefferson Road, Henrietta.
You know, hurting
On the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Last call on the sports bar. You can join us at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN. Let's check in with Aaron.
Aaron in Pittsford. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, I was just wondering if Jordan Hudson's going to be hanging around the UNC team, if Belichick's put any thought into how close in age she is to all the players.
Are we going to get some suspensions for undisclosed reasons through the course of the football season?
Yeah, playing time taken away. Thank you, Aaron. I love that, Boop. John in Rochester giving us a call, John.
Hey, John.
Hey, guys. I just finished with a 63 for 9 holes, so I'm starting the weekend out really great.
That's great, John. You know what? You and I and Gene should go golfing together. I think we're all in the same category.
I love it. Listen, Gabe Davis, man, talk about – I'm bummed out that he got cut. But I got to tell you, here's a guy in that 13-second game, had those 4 touchdown catches, which was unbelievable. And then wasn't it the next year he caught those 2 consecutive 90-yard bombs from Josh?
Yeah.
I mean, what a career.
Well, and those are 2 great games.
What a career. What a career over 2 games. Yeah, John. No, look, we remember that. We lean on those memories because they're so fantastic. And not going to say anything about the guy not being a hard worker. He's clearly a hard worker. Mm-hmm. He's a leader in the locker room. He was a team captain. I don't necessarily think it makes sense for him to come to Buffalo. If you're Gabe Davis and you have an intellectual thought, wouldn't you get more playing time in Pittsburgh or in New York? You'd be fighting for a roster spot in Buffalo.
That's why I'm thinking that's not going to happen, but I would welcome him back. Why not more competition? Fun show today. We're back at it on Monday. Busy week next week, Mike.
You got it. Well, if you missed Patrick Williams or Sal Capaccio, who joined us earlier in the sports bar, you can find that wherever you get your podcast. Search out the sports bar, including the free-to-download Odyssey app or our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. JR Sport Brief next on The Fan. Have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. 95.7